The Tea with Sandy.
Cayman's top news headlines of the day from CMR.
Let's get right to it. Sandy, what do you got for us this morning?
Hey, good morning. So some breaking news as it relates to Miss Cayman Islands Universe pageant, which the government is the franchise holder. They have announced that they have finally decided to dethrone Miss Tiffany Connolly. Connolly convicted last week, Thursday, of numerous assaults and property damage, damaged 2 vehicles, assaulted a police officer, and other things. And so finally, they came to the decision that they were going to dethrone her. Now, interestingly enough, they also said that their hands have been tied this whole time because apparently they have a nonsensical contract that says that they can't make those types of decisions on their own and that they have to go to the international organization to get their permission to dethrone someone. Sounds a bit weird, but that's what the government says that somebody signed us up for many years ago, I guess. And so there you have it. So
why
now,
are we just finding out about that now, though? It seems like you would want to get ahead of it and just do like they do in the States, or Great Britain, do a press conference. Hey, we're going to look into this and we'll get, instead of just leaving it out there for people to wonder what they're doing.
Speculating.
Yeah, this has been a textbook example of what not to do when it comes with crisis management and how to handle a situation. Right. Yeah. So lots of questions remain. We'll discuss some of them a little bit later on in the morning show. But at the press conference, there was also a number of other announcements, including that there will be the route to Panama is actually reopening. So there were a lot of people who were very excited to hear that bit of news. So it's been sort of defunct for a number of years now. My apologies. Oh my gosh, the frog got me. And so they've decided to reopen that route with a view to, opening up that particular area of the world again. So
is that Cayman Airways that we're talking about?
Cayman Airways, that's correct.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so direct flight to Panama. So I think it's going to take about an hour and half an hour. They said in the coming weeks.
Okay.
So, yeah. So it's going to happen.
Final story for us?
Rather quickly. And the minister also announced that Cayman needs a bigger cargo port. So, the port continues to be an issue, obviously. So he's not talking about cruise port this time. The last government obviously failed in that regard. But he's saying cargo port is all about food security and bringing supplies into the country. And we are maxing out at capacity at the current facility. So there is, they're building a strategic outline case concerning the expansion of the cargo port, which should be accepted at some point by cabinet and approved to basically move forward and develop an outline business case for the project. So it's kind of the early stages. So we'll keep an eye on it and let you guys know.
All right, Sandy, catch her right now on Bobo 89.1 FM. We'll see you tomorrow for Tuesday headlines. Aaron, what you got coming up in your right?
Bigger, better, bolder. The cold, hard truth is taking talk to the next level. Right here on Bobo 89.1 FM, Cayman's community radio. We are still spilling the tea and committed to being part of the change that Cayman so desperately needs. Join Sandy Hill weekdays from 7:30 a.m. for Premier Access, Cayman Voices, Truthful Thursdays, and much more. Cayman's #1 talk show is now bigger, better, bolder, and more than talk. Getting results with hot topics, consumer reports, court exposés, and more.
I've come to set the record straight. I've come to shine the light on you. Let me introduce myself. I am the cold, hard truth.
Now, from the CMR studio in Grand Cayman,
live, direct.
It's the cold, hard truth. Now, join the conversation on 345-936-2626.
That number again is
345-936-2626.
All right. Good morning, folks. Happy Tuesday. It is now February the 14th, and you guys know what that means. It is also Valentine's Day. So happy Valentine's Day to all of my lovely people out there. Thank you guys so much for tuning in on this special day. Listen, Valentine's Day is not just for lovers. It's for friends as well, and family, and just anybody that you absolutely care about. So Miss Vernita is here in the comment section saying happy Valentine's Day. We got Brother Tommy who is joining us. Tommy, good morning. How are you? Sarah is here saying, what's going on with the flights to Montego Bay? I don't know. We'll have to inquire. Carol is also in the comment section. Renvo, good morning to you. And Miss Faith, Olivia, happy Valentine's Day to everybody. Lots of love to go around the place here. So we are going to be, joining or having some guests join us in the studio this morning from Health City, because it is Tuesday, and you guys know what Tuesday means. It is Medical Rundown Tuesdays. And today's bit of news that they're going to be sharing with is actually pretty exciting. Nothing like something like a big announcement. We love big announcements, right? And so, Health City has been doing a number of things in terms of expanding their products and services. And you guys know, Cayman Bay is starting to take shape, honey child. I drive by there every single day and I look at it and I go, wow. I'm always surprised at how quickly the progress seems to, it's just coming along really, really nicely. So we will be discussing with them this morning the Radiation Oncology Center. So let's go ahead and bring in Mr. Shamari Scott first. Good morning, Shamari. How are you this beautiful Tuesday morning?
Good morning, Sandy. How are you? And I think it's the first time I've been on for the new year, so I know it's late, but happy new year, and happy new year to all of your listening audience.
Yes, happy new year, absolutely. So I hope you had a fantastic holiday season, and welcome back. So we also have
I'm wearing red. See?
Yes, I didn't even. I kind of missed the memo here this morning. That completely missed the memo. Not wearing red at all, but hey, we've also got Dr. Benoit who is joining us this morning. Good morning, Dr. Benoit.
Hi, good morning, Sandy.
How are you?
I'm very good, thanks. And you?
Good. So good to see you. And Dr., let me see if I can get this right, Vikas Roshan. How did I do?
Correct.
Yeah.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, and thanks for hosting me. And it's a great day. And good morning and happy Valentine's Day to you.
Yes, thank you so much. Of course, everyone knows Dr. Benoit and Benoit, my apologies, and Shamari. But Dr. Vikas is new here. He's a senior consultant, new to us. He's a senior consultant in radiation oncology at Health City, Cayman Islands. So, of course, like everyone else at Health City, his credentials read like a who's who in the medical field. He has done, the Kashmir Institute of Medical Science in Srinagar. Is that how you pronounce that?
Yeah, Srinagar.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, a senior residency was fulfilled at the All India Institute of Medical Services in New Delhi. He has extensive experience, having served at several prestigious and really super specialty medical facilities throughout his career. Those include the Fortis Medical Research Institute, Narayana Super Specialty Hospital, Katra, and most recently, the American Oncology Institute, where he was a senior consultant in radiation oncology. So, wow, all sorts of awards and honors have bestowed upon this physician here this morning. Everything from colorectal preceptorship. Oh my gosh, I don't even know that that's right. Did I just say that right?
Yeah, perception.
Yes. He got the award for that in Singapore. He has received the Developing Nation Travel Award at the 14th World GI Congress in Spain. He's published more than 30 scientific articles, including abstracts. And those are, I want to say something about publishing, because a lot of people don't always get what that means, right? So really and truly, that's all about research. Like you're like, at the top of your research game once you get published. These are peer-reviewed articles and journals, and So that is really quite an accolade to have more than 30 of those. Organized national and international conferences as the organizing secretary, and he's published chapters and textbooks on oncology as well. So this is fantastic. Lots of memberships and associations, including the American Society for Therapeutic Radiology and Oncology, the European Society for Therapeutic Radiology and Oncology, and the Association of Radiation Oncologists of India. So, Dr. Vikas, thank you so much for joining us. I mean, I could go on and on and on, but I think we get the idea that you're extremely qualified to be the consultant in radiation oncology at the Cayman Islands Health City. So the exciting news, Shamari, is some new things are coming online. Tell us about those.
Definitely. So as we get ready for our 9-year anniversary that's coming up in April, we would have been talking, and that's why we have, anytime you see Dr. Benoit show up, it's very important, right? Yes. We would have been talking about the fact that for the first time ever in the Cayman Islands, we would be offering radiotherapy from a cancer care perspective, and that will have a holistic suite that will be there as part of the 70,000 square feet. You're seeing as you pass the main hospital that's going up, and coming in year 10 is when we'll be able to speak about, obviously, that major facility which Dr. Benoit will go into, and all the specialties that we'll be offering there. But prior to that, we have an adjacent unit that's a standalone unit that will be joined to the main Camana Bay Health City campus. And in that unit is our radiotherapy center. And that's what's really special, that you don't have to wait another year. Within a few months, we're actually going to be commissioning it, and you're going to get your invite this week, Sandy.
Oh,
but
wonderful.
March 16th, we're going to be commissioning the new radiotherapy center, and that means that patients, for the most part, won't have to travel overseas again when it comes to radiation. We cover other aspects of oncology right now, and Dr. Benoit and Dr. Vikas will go into some of those aspects. But by having the LINAC machine, by having the radiotherapy right here in the Cayman Islands, people won't have to travel overseas again. And as we mentioned, 90% of the population, over 90%, work in town during the day, and close to 70% or more live in the Georgetown West Bay area. And by having this hospital campus in 2 years that's so close, you won't have to speak about, oh, I don't want to travel all the way up East End for various modalities. But when it comes to our cancer care, knowing that at some point in time people need to go back to work and as such, you'll be able to gain access very quickly to our services right there in town, and then obviously go back to work if you need to. And or when it comes to persons who have adult children that need to get to work, they can always drop off, pick back up. And we just wanted to make sure that we are always making it as easy as possible for our patients to get the best quality service, and that's what we're doing.
Wow, fantastic. So let me ask the physicians, the experts in the house this morning. We hear this term radiation oncology. A lot of people are familiar with the term oncology, having to do with, treatment of cancers. But what specifically is radiation oncology? What does that mean?
Yeah, actually, radiation oncology is a branch that treats tumor with the help of high energy X-rays. And there are other modalities too, like electrons, protons, and neutrons. But here at Cayman, we are going to use only photons and electrons.
Okay. And what are the benefits of this treatment option over other types of treatments for cancers?
So treatment of cancer, actually, it includes largely three branches like surgical oncology, medical oncology, and radiation oncology. So treatment depends actually on the stage of the cancer. So there are actually 4 stages, right? Stage 1, 2, 3, 4, depending upon the extent of the disease, whether it is locally present or it's involving some nodes, or it's starting from that particular organ to the other sites in the body. So suppose it is a disseminate, then it's a stage 4. And in those cases, we require only systemic treatment. But role of radiation and surgery comes into the early stages of cancer, like stage 1, 2, and 3. So stage 1 and 2, we only needs surgery or radiation. And stage 3, we require maybe the combination of surgery, radiation, and chemo, all the modalities. So it actually depends in which stage the patient is coming to us, and accordingly we can devise the treatment depending upon the MDT discussions. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So really just depending on the stage of the cancer. Does it also depend on the type of cancer as well? Or there's some types that will respond, more positively to radiation oncology?
Yeah. So like there are actually radiation we can plan as per the stage, and at early stages, even if the stage, we can treat from head to toe all the cancers. So early stage is very good. The key actually is the disease should be localized because it is a non-surgical management, and we treat cancer only at a particular sites only. So this modality is very precise actually. So we don't need the radiation to the whole body actually. Wherever the disease is confined, we can straight away go and target that disease. Yeah.
Okay. So very, very, targeted in terms of the treatment of the cancer. And again, helping to slow down growth or to, prevent cancer from returning. And it can actually be done internally or externally as well, depending on the type of cancer. So it can be used for things like skin cancers and so forth as well.
Yeah, right now we have actually both the machines available at Health City now. It's linear for external radiotherapy. There is a called linear accelerator. The machine is called linear accelerator, and there is a brachytherapy when we are going to treat the tumors. When we place the radioactive nuclides very close to the tumor, that means in the body, and that we do with the help of some kind of wires or catheters. So that machine is called brachytherapy. So both things are available here. And for skin tumors, that as you already said, for that we need actually surgery and sometimes post-surgery radiation. And if the tumor is very small, we can go straight away with the radiation. So no need for surgery. Yeah.
All right. So I did see a little comment come in there, Shamari, Life in the Tropics, saying that they're having a hard time getting a refill for prescription. Don't know what's going on there. But folks, the best thing to do, just shoot me a quick message on WhatsApp. You've got our WhatsApp contact details. I'd forward that on to Shamari and he can get the customer service team to just inquire with the physicians and what's, in terms of what's going on with the refill. So, don't always come and put your business out there about you need a refill, but we'll certainly get on that for you this morning. So can you tell us a little bit? I do have a picture here. So Shamari, help me to show our listeners, not the listeners, but the viewers of the program. And there are lots of people reviewing it. And by the way, to our Bobo listeners, I know that sometimes you don't always get to see, but you can go back on Facebook, go back on YouTube, watch the video. So is this the actual facility at Cayman Bay right now? What is
that? Is so I'll let Dr. Benoit jump in, because that might be Dr. Benoit's picture, because we happened to arrive at the site just recently together. We didn't know that we were going both to view the facility. And so if Dr. Benoit can speak to, obviously, why we thought that we needed to have this multi-million-dollar machine, what we're trying to do in the Cayman Islands, what gaps we're filling, and the history behind how we got here, as well as speak to the machine. I think that's really important for us to hear today as well, because even from a Dr. Vikas perspective, Dr. Benoit always wants to make sure that he has the best of the best, as you know, Sandy, in all of our different physician areas. And by reading Dr. Vikas's resume, you definitely can understand the quality of physician we have there. We thank him for traveling all the way to be here with us in the Cayman Islands to help us with this, one of the last components to fill. Dr. Benoit?
Yeah, Sandy, so this is the actual photograph from the facility. This was installed last week, and the hardware and software installation is going on. End of this week, that also will be completed. So this is the best linear accelerator that is available. It's called Variant, the company, and it's a true beam. So the importance of this precision therapy, that's what very important in radiation. Dr. Vikas will explain to you in detail, because the radiation therapy, the scattering should not be there, because if you want to give to a particular area, it should give only or destroy that only tumor cells. If it goes a few millimeters, we were discussing with the team the other day, even 2 millimeters, you feel it's a very small distance, but 2 millimeters means it's going to other organ, and it can damage the other organ because of the side effects of the radiation.
Right.
So this machine is the one of the best you can get, called Variant True Beam. It's all getting ready, and as Shamari mentioned, you will get the invitation soon. Next month onwards, this will be up and running. And other than that, this is, we are all really excited because waiting for this for years, and it's a dream come true, not only for a health city, it is for the entire country and the region, because we do not have many comprehensive cancer treatment centers in Caribbean. When I say comprehensive cancer care, it's like some islands they have chemotherapy units, some islands they have some surgeons, they can treat surgery, but all under one umbrella. See, nowadays this cancer treatment, it's not like just chemotherapy or surgery. It's a lot actually. The chemotherapy, hormone therapy, immune therapy, surgical, this radiation therapy. The radiation therapy also, there are different kinds of radiation therapy. So when it comes all under one umbrella, it really helps the patients actually, because now we are sure more than 95% of the patients can get treatment for their cancers on this island. No need to go anywhere, any kinds of treatment. So that's what makes us unique in this region. I don't think any other centers in Caribbean they have all these modalities of treatment. That makes this, we are that comprehensive cancer center. So you know this the problems for these patients going overseas for cancer, this radiation treatment, because I think almost 40 to 50% of the cancer patients will need some form of radiation therapy. So it's a quite significant number of patients, and once they go there, means it will take at least 6 to 8 weeks. They have to stay there, even though each fraction is maybe 10 to 15 minutes, but it's multiple days of treatment. So this is definitely, we are excited, and it's waiting for we were waiting for this for years to happen.
Right. Wow. So it looks impressive. And of course, we know that as treatments progress, the equipment that is used, the surgical methods that are used, there are also lots and lots of improvements in that regard as well. So let's speak now with Dr. Vikas. Now, Dr. Vikas, you've got amazing credentials. I want you to tell us a little bit about yourself, because I was really, really impressed with the fact that you're published, in so many academic journals and publications, textbooks, and so on, and abstracts. So tell us a little bit about what you're bringing to the table as the radiation oncologist there.
Yeah, actually, for radiation, the machine that we have seen right now, it's a True Beam machine that can actually perform different kind of techniques of radiation. Actually, we can deliver with that, right from 2-dimensional to 3-dimensional, and image-guided radiotherapy. And there is one more sophisticated technique called VMAT, that is modulated arc radiotherapy, that is also available with this machine. So I think we can perform all the procedures that about radiation. And most importantly, I would like to highlight there is a facility facility that is available with this machine is stereotactic radiosurgery, in which we can give very high dose of fraction of radiation in a very short span of time. So it kind of result that we get with this kind of technique is there is a complete ablation of the tumor. So in a way they call it a stereotactic radiosurgery. Because still it is a non-surgical management, but we are performing surgeries with these kind of units. So that is, I think, a highlight here. So as Dr. Binay sir has already discussed, 2/3 of patients require radiation, that any point of time in their treatment. So I think we are able to fill that gap for patients. And regarding my this bio that we are discussing, I'm already humbled. You have given a very nice introduction to me. So I think with that, thanks for that. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And I mean, I didn't even touch on, there's so many things that I didn't get to, including the fact that you have this HMX Pro Genetics Cancer Genomics and Precision Oncology course under the Harvard Medical School. So, you've obviously traveled around the world and done training at Harvard, courses in Japan, Germany, Spain, and elsewhere, of course, in India. The benefit of traveling doctor and having access to these courses from all these different institutions, how do you think that will ultimately benefit the Cayman Islands? Like, what do you think is the biggest benefit from that?
Actually, traveling to these places gives different perspective into the oncology management. Actually, you find, okay, in which countries they're using different in all the countries they're using different techniques just to manage the same cancer. Suppose in CA esophagus, so everyone is using different technique. Maybe someone is using external beam radiotherapy, someone is using only intraluminal brachytherapy, someone is using chemotherapy. There are different combinations actually. So you get to you get different ideas actually how they are doing it, and what is the idea behind it actually, how why they are following that kind of technique. So I think with that kind of experience, I think here we can I can work together with all the team that is available, and we have all the facilities here like surgical oncology, medical oncology. Basically, there are disease management groups which are already in place that I have seen in the last 3 to 4 weeks. I think I'm very excited to work here. So I think that will give very good you can say outcome of the diseases that we are going to treat here. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Sandra, can I
Yes.
just come in now?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, we can make very fancy buildings. We can buy the best instruments or equipments or machines.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, the outcome depends on the person who use that and the person who treats.
Mm-hmm.
That's what most important when it comes to healthcare. And to most difficult part also, that's what, to get the right person, the right doctors or the right team. We took more than 1 year to convince Dr. Vikas, I can tell you the inside story, to come here, because he is very established radiation oncologist in India. It's lots of volume and patients and very good name. So this is what usually when we as a juniors, when we come up in our career, when we established, when we have that reputation in the area where you work, nobody will try to relocate yourself. That also in an area where the numbers or volumes are not sure. So we had to convince over a period of time to get Dr. Vikas here, because it's very important. As I told you, we can make whatever kinds of 5-star buildings, and we can buy any instrument. That's all depends on how much money you can spend. But to get the right person is the key for the successful treatment and the outcome. That's why we are very, very happy and satisfied with the induction of Dr. Vikas as a senior consultant in oncology, in the radiation oncology. And along with him, we are soon going to have one surgeon who is specialized in only oncology. See, the current practice in most of the hospitals across the world, the organ specific. If I am a thoracic surgeon, I will do whatever comes to that area. Like if there is a cancer in the lungs, I manage. If there is a urologist comes, he treats the urology part, I mean, the prostate or bladder cancer, everything. There's nothing wrong in that, because that we learned. But when somebody learned only in oncology surgery, definitely the principles of the oncological treatment will be a little bit more, precise and advanced. So we are going to have one surgical oncologist also soon, hopefully in 4 to 6 weeks time. So that makes our the what I mentioned, that comprehensive oncology. We have already one medical oncology. We have two, and now radiation oncologist, and we are going to have one surgical oncologist also. And hopefully within 6 months time, we'll have a hemato oncologist who's capable of doing this bone marrow transplant. So that will give us the advantage of all these blood cancers, and if somebody needs bone marrow transplant, all the advanced treatment. So that's also going to have. So once all those teams are in place, we are like the at par with any of the best centers in this part of the world. That's what we are dreaming, and that's what we want to make sure that we should have in Cayman Islands and in this region.
Wow, Shamari, that sounds fantastic. So world-class cancer center with the best physicians, specialty physicians, equipment, and the people who have the requisite knowledge. So tell us a little bit more about the facility that's coming on board.
No, definitely. And just to mention, Sandra, when you actually look at the Linac accelerator that we're going to have there, the type of equipment for radiotherapy in first world countries with high GDPs, the standard is 1 for every 300,000 population. All right. So it just shows you that typically in an island this small with 70,000, you can't have a third or a fourth of the machine. So you have to make the investment, understanding that you're doing it in order to enhance the healthcare, to give holistic care within the Cayman Islands. And then obviously over multiples of years, the machine will pay itself back. But you're making that investment, not thinking about the actual financial component, but understanding that it's the right thing to do, and that you're going to be able to now help the people within the country. And then obviously with all of the arrangements we have with Caribbean countries, Latin American countries, as well as those in North America, we'll be getting medical tourists that, for whatever reason, when you look at the actual cost, for instance, if you have insurance that maxes out at 300,000 or 200,000, if you're going to the US for radiotherapy, very quickly you can either max it out, or you may not be accepted based on the fact that 300,000 may not be enough for you to get the type of treatment. So we're going to be able to actually reach out and help those people gain access to the facility as well, which is the ethos and everything that we're actually doing. So we're just excited to be able to actually be the persons to offer this within the Cayman Islands, understanding even from a numbers perspective that it's the right thing to do. And we look forward then in the future, in 1 year's time, Dr. Benoit can actually speak about the other 70,000 square feet that will be coming on board. That's what you see when you pass on the roadside. You see that building going up. If you actually go on the interior, you will see a standalone building, and that's the radiotherapy building. That's one story, and the rest of the facility is going to be 3 stories. And Dr. Benoit can go into the different areas that we'll be offering there as well.
Okay, wonderful.
Sandra, definitely that is coming up very well, and in the time frame that we would love to commission that is the first quarter of 24, and that is going to have almost all the specialties that we are offering. Plus we are going to have very advanced emergency care unit. When I say advanced emergency care unit, means including ECPR. This is a new concept that is coming up very well. If somebody cardiac arrest or respiratory arrest, usually what happens, we resuscitate, the CPR, what everybody knows. And once they are not, maybe 45 minutes you try, and if they do not revive, we lose them. That's what the youth practiced. But with this ECPR means we have something called extracorporeal membrane oxygenator. So we will connect them while doing this CPR. We will connect them to this machine called ECMO in short form. So once we are putting them on this ECMO, that is supporting both the lungs and heart. So they will not die. After that, we can find out what happened, why this heart or lungs stopped working. We have enough time to investigate. At least they will not die. So this is again one of the upcoming thing in the emergency treatment. So we are going to have that very advanced emergency care unit there. We are going to have a neonatal intensive care unit. That is something always we heard not only from our island here, from the other neighboring islands also. When it comes to the preterm kids and this neonatal intensive care unit, they have to send this small kids to the USA, and very, very expensive. That is, they usually call it $1 million babies. So we are going to have that neonatal intensive care unit very advanced, and maternity facility also. Plus, we are going to have 4 very advanced operating rooms there, and all the other investigating modalities like CT scan, MRI, PET scan, ultrasound, everything. So that's going to be really a very good facility for all the procedures. Like our robot will be definitely moving that side. So all the daycare procedures or short stay procedures will be happening there. We are going to have a cath lab again there. So patients, as Shamari mentioned, 70% of the population lives between Georgetown and West Bay. So time is again very important. So for these stroke patients who needs less than a few hours, cardiac, heart attack patients, they cannot waste time. So all those things we are going to take care of by adding those specialties in the middle of the downtown there.
Yes. Wonderful. So, folks, if you're just joining us, perhaps you're just tuning in on the radio, we're talking with Health City this morning. Every Tuesday, you can pretty much find them here on our Medical Rundown Tuesdays. And we're talking about the new oncology center that's going to be located at the Cayman Bay location. And again, this is radiation oncology, high-tech equipment that uses high-energy radiation beams to target and kill cancer cells at a very specific tumor site. So it's interesting that you say that you've got to be so precise with this beam. Now, Jonathan has a question. He doesn't ask it in the most politically correct way, of course. We come to expect that of Jonathan. But I'll rephrase the question for Jonathan. So he says, essentially, that he thought that Indian people were very good at mixing herbal medications. So he's wondering, what are you doing with radiation therapy? So can you talk about the necessity for treatments to be all-encompassing? So there could be some holistic elements, my apologies, that are involved in the treatment of cancers. But obviously, modern medicine has a very strong place to play as well. So perhaps, Dr. Vikas, you can talk about the importance of radiation oncology and what else might be part of a treatment plan.
So actually, for radiation oncology, the thing that I want to discuss it here is the image guidance that is actually available here. Like we are talking about the precision here. So I think with the help of the image guidance, actually we do two kind of. We have a on-board CT actually on the machine. There is a CT, and before delivering treatment, we will do CT just to see whether we are targeting the same area which we have planned or not. So I think that is the best thing that we have on the machine, that is cone beam CT. So it makes the precision more actually accurate. So we are more confident that what we have planned, we are treating that area. And the other for this holistic care that we are discussing, I think radiation is both for curative management as well as the palliative management. In palliation, what we mean, just suppose some patient who has this bone metastasis, and it comes to us with the pain. In those cases, we are not curing the patient. We are just giving high dose perfection of the radiation just to alleviate the signs and symptoms of the disease. So that is called the palliative care, and we are including that concept also here. And soon, I think, with this facility, we are going to start in the radiation oncology department this palliative care center also. So that will palliate the pain as well as the signs and symptoms of the patient.
Very good. Now, tell us a little bit about the screening process. We know that there are so many different types of cancers and different screening, methodologies that are oftentimes utilized. But, Shamari, perhaps you can jump in here as well as Dr. Benoy. But, what are the screening options that you have available at Health City Cayman Islands?
Yeah, Dr. Benoy can go through.
Oh, okay, you want? I thought somebody knows all those things.
I think that soon, I was going to say that soon, Shamari might have to go to medical school and get that doctor in front of his name. No, because he knows so much about what's going on.
It's Dr. Shamari now.
No, but
he knows everything. Yeah,
yes.
But the screening, I can give some idea. Then definitely Shamari will pitch in there. See. This is something very, very close to me personally. I am a big proponent of this screening procedures and the wellness check. Because unlike maybe 3 decades ago, those times, even if you find the cancer at early stage, the outcome would not be different actually, because the treatment options were not as good as what we have now. See, now, if you diagnose a cancer in the early stage, like stage 1, 70% of the cancers can be cured. So that is the very important actually aspect of this whole the screening. So 70% of the cancers that is there now, if you detect early at stage 1, it can be cured. So that's a big difference. If you detect the same in stage 3 or stage 4, it may end up in maybe prolonging the life, but not cure. So I will tell our experience of this screening and how it's helped patients. 2 months ago, we had a 1-month promotion for this low-dose CT scan for high-risk patients. There are guidelines for whom should go for this low-dose CT scan. It's not for everybody. So we had 53 patients for the low-dose CT scan. One patient, he was 64 years, no symptoms, but he was thinking of, okay, I'll also go and have this done. He was detected to have a early lung cancer. And within a month, all these treatments, surgeries, and everything is done. And it came out to be stage 1. And after the sample goes to histopathology, everything checked, and it is no spread anywhere in the body, and it is cured. No need for any chemotherapy, no need for any radiation therapy, no need for anything, just follow up. So huge difference. If the same patient would have waited for another 6 months, by the time he developed the symptoms, whether it's cough or weight loss or anything, it is too late. Same thing, we had this promotion for this mammogram. We had out of, if I am correct, out of 50 women came for that. 2 patients, 2 of those had to do diagnosed with breast cancer. One was actually advanced. So these are the advantages of going for screening, unlike before. Now, if you detect early cancers, we can treat because everything is available. Lot of treatment modalities, and our understanding is very good. Treatment options are there, and we can cure. So life expectancy is different after that. Quality of life is different. Treatment is different. No need for all this other treatment with the side effects and all those things. So we are very much, Shamari, I think you can tell about this screenings, other screenings we are doing.
No, I know that you're excited about the screening, so that's why.
I won't stop actually when I talk about it.
Wanted you to definitely take that question, but just to mention, Sandra, this entire year and we're going to have a whole program dedicated to that, through all of the different screenings that we're going to have in each of the different months, as well as where we're going to have all of those screenings. Because now that we have the full complement of cancer treatment here in the Cayman Islands come March 16th, we want to make sure that free of cost to whomever that we're going to be doing it to, across all the various demographics and across all the various ailments for cancer, that we're going to be doing screening that's available. We're going to be going to churches, town hall centers, community centers, and then obviously, where necessary, also doing it at Health City, even working with the government to screen civil servants, because the day we just want to make sure that, to Dr. Benoit's point, we have such a small population here in the grand scheme of things. With an institution like Health City, why can't we try to screen as many people as possible so we can catch things in stage one? And you heard Dr. Benoit percentages that if you catch it in stage one, based on the modalities and the medicine that we have today, there's a good probability that we'll be able to cure and or give a prolonged and better lifestyle moving forward. And the same way Dr. Benoit, if there's a heart attack and before Health City was here, you'd have to wait for an ambulance, and then obviously the quality of life, if the person is saved, isn't going to be as good due to the time is muscle, right? Scenario. The fact that we can come in and screen and catch things early days, why wouldn't we do it, right? And yes, we let the fact that if you get it early, then people can change their lifestyles, and people can then have a long lifestyle. And what also happens is, when you look at the breadwinners of a family, when you lose somebody in their 30s or 40s that otherwise, if you had caught an issue, could be saved, it changes the dynamics and the trajectory of that family for a generation or so. And you understand, Sandy.
Yes.
Obviously having the breadwinner in the house, obviously having a two-parent household, or even if the parent's not in the household, an involved other parent outside, if that person suddenly disappears from that dynamic, the impact it has on children and generations thereafter. And if we, from a medical perspective, can save lives to ensure that people are around and catch things early, that's what's important to us. And that's why this was Dr. Benoit who really pushed and said, we have a population. Well, at that time we were talking about, it was 65,000. Now it's what, 72, 73,000. He's like, there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to have all of these screenings throughout all of the districts to be able to catch as many of these things as possible. And us as men, that usually would be the ostrich syndrome and put our heads in the sands, right? And unless our arm is falling off, typically we wouldn't go to the doctor. Nowadays, if you catch it early, you can cure and or give a prolonged life. So it doesn't make sense anymore to have your head in the sand. And this is where we need the mothers, the wives, the daughters to also, when we're having these screenings, to make sure that their husbands, their sons, their significant others, their fathers come out for the screening, so that and if it is a modality that another physician at another facility can deal with it, we're fine. We just want to make sure that we are catching it as early as possible and that the person gets help, whether that's with Health City or otherwise. Dr. Benoit?
Yeah. I just want to tell one important information, Sandy. See, we are very educated society here, but still, this is the data. What I'm telling is from Health City, because we do not have a cancer registry. See, what the cancers, what we see currently, nearly 2/3 of them are advanced stages, stage 3 or 4.
Wow.
Even with such an educated society here.
Yes.
So, and you know that outcome and their family. So, our intention is to make sure that in the next 1 or 2 years to screen all the eligible people in the country and detect if there is an early cancer, so that the outcome, the quality of life, and the economic burden also for the government. Much different, because if somebody who we detect a cancer in the early stage, the treatment versus somebody stage 3 or 4, their treatment cost will be multiple times more than if you treat. And the social impact, if somebody lose their spouse or father or children, that's again, it's a lot of impact. So with our small population, this is easily, I mean, I won't say easily, it is achievable. We can find out. And not only cancer, even the other cardiovascular, because 75% of the mortality or deaths related to either cardiovascular or cancers. And both these causes we can detect early by screening tests. So why can't we as a country reach that stage? All our eligible population are screened and either detect, or if they do not have, that's well and good.
Yes.
So we have a plan. Shamari is working on that. So we will definitely make sure that the entire population, the eligible population on the country, will be screened for these two major reasons for death.
Yes. And I know that, Shamari, that you've already started in earnest with some of these community efforts. I know last year, the Minister of Health, Ms. Sabrina Turner, had announced at her community meeting with Ben Mead that, you had started to do screening for the prospect community. There was screening, I know, at the Siemens Seafarers Hall, for example. Available again to that community. So folks, it's about early detection. You have to know that there's a lot of different types of cancers. Cervical cancer, starting from the age of 25 up to 65, you should be doing routine screening for that. There's colon cancer starting at the age of 45. And as we go through the year, there's always these months that are focused on educating people about these specific types of cancers. I know we'll look at them in a bit more detail, but prostate cancers, again, especially if you've got an African heritage, which most Caribbean people do, or any sort of a family history, you want to start a little bit earlier at 45 years of age, otherwise at 50 years of age. So breast cancers, of course, we've talked before about breast cancer awareness and the need to do the appropriate screening, again, based on age and different risk level factors. So there's importance here, folks, in understanding that screening can give you a head start on detecting any sort of, whether it's cardiovascular, as Dr. Benoit mentioned, or cancer-related illnesses that you need to get a hold of. A lot of us will have to deal with these types of things at some point in our life, but you get an amazing, just advantage if you can detect it at the earliest possible stages. Advantage in treatment options, and definitely your survivability rate, and all of those things will be good for both you, your family, and the community at large. So tell us a little bit, Shamari, about the new Radiation Oncology Center that's going to be located in Camana Bay, again slated to open next month.
I was on mute. All right. Definitely, Sandy. So the radiotherapy center will be open next month. So persons would see would CIS, the school, and would see the area closest to the roundabout right before the school, the construction that's going up. So it is construction that's happening right there at the entry to Camana Bay is where we're going to be located. We're going to be having the ribbon cutting and commissioning on March 16th of next month, where we're going to have obviously dignitaries and persons within the medical community, as well as persons from overseas that are excited about the fact that we're going to have this radiotherapy center that's going to be opened at that point in time. And right after we cut that ribbon, we should be able to treat patients right away. So we know insurance companies are excited because no longer will they have to send their patients overseas, and we won't go into the cost, but but for a costly fee, you'll be able to get it right here close to home Obviously, it costs less, and then even from the caretaker's perspective, like Dr. Benoit was mentioning, think about the fact that somebody who is also working would have to take a lot of time off work. You may only be allowed to have one person with you just based on the finances. Now, when you have your loved ones here, and obviously having loved ones close to you is part of the healing process as well, to make sure that you do the best, you'll be able to have everybody here on island with you, from a local population perspective. And the benefits of it just keeps, exponentially growing when you keep thinking about why it makes sense to have this radiotherapy center right here in the Cayman Islands, right here in town. And as we mentioned, Dr. Benoit mentioned, the building is the building. Obviously, having state-of-the-art machinery is one main component as well. But the fact that we're able to have Dr. Vikas and his team is the most important component. The physician and the team that will be able to evaluate, take care of the patients. And Dr. Vikas would have seen the holistic team that we have here, that now he was the last component that we actually needed. Because as Dr. Benoit always mentions, anytime he comes on the program, we have multidisciplinary teams that look at cases from different angles, and Dr. Vikas would fit right into that system, where from an oncology perspective, you have all of the other oncology areas and doctors here, as well as the Dr. Benoits and the such. So if it is, a tumor that's close to your heart, not only will they have obviously the oncologist, but you have the benefit of a Dr. Benoit who is there. And the same thing when it comes to orthopedics or general surgery or urology. We have all of those main physicians here under one roof that they can get together and discuss cases and work out the best way to treat the patient towards getting the best outcomes. I don't know if Dr. Vikas wants to elaborate on that, or Dr. Benoit as well.
Yes.
That's one area again. What Shamari mentioned. See, we have a system of this tumor board, Sandy, here. So when we will not treat any patients with cancer without going through that tumor board. The tumor board means there will be various multidisciplinary. Basically, there will be radiologist, interventional radiologist, medical oncologist, this surgical oncologist, radiation oncologist, all those with the pulmonologist, maybe around 15 to 20 doctors will be there. Once in a week, we meet and we'll discuss what all patients within that week diagnosed to have cancers. And we'll go through the history, we'll go through the imaging and the treatment planning. What is the best treatment, when, how, which one should, some patients will need surgery before, some patients will need the chemotherapy before, or the radiotherapy. So we always have this, and by protocol we have decided actually this no patients will get cancer treatment without going through the tumor board. That is a very, very important, because as a surgeon sometimes I feel, okay, I can do the surgery, okay, and remove the tumor, then we can send for radiotherapy or chemotherapy. But when we discuss, sometimes the decision will change actually, because everybody is the expertise, that like medical oncologist, then surgical oncologist, then radiation oncologist, everybody's brain works, and the decision is a unanimous decision that is the best for the. So that's again we are as an organization or as an institution very strict with that. No one will get treatment without going through the tumor board. That's again will make sure that the best treatment for that patients, because it is not that like lung cancer or breast cancer, every preconceived treatment protocol. It's not that. Everybody is different, considering their other comorbidities, the stages, and the type of cancer and everything. So it is very important. All the well-established cancer centers will have this, but not the other hospitals will have all those tumor boards and these kinds of protocols and process. So we have already that in place.
Wow. So we know that the Shamari, the Oncology Day Center, has opened in Camana Bay. Remind us again of when that facility opened up.
So that would have been, now I'm thinking March 2020.
That was last year. Yeah.
Dr. Benoit, was it 2022 or 2021?
The years are melting together.
Time has been passing. The daycare oncology center at Camana Bay, the infusion therapy center.
Yeah, that's almost 1 year now.
Yes. Yeah. So it was last year.
So the center itself opened in 21, and then the infusion component came in 22, correct?
Yes, correct.
Yeah. So those are two different milestones. So the actual opening that we're able to see patients in regards to if they need a checkup and or if they have an ailment or for a follow-up in Camana Bay versus everything being done in East End would have happened in 2021, and then a component to add the infusion center so that those that need chemo and other treatments that are in town would be able to get that closer to home. That would have happened last year. And then obviously now this year we are opening the radiotherapy center, and then next year, as Dr. Benoit went in, the larger Camana Bay hospital will be ready for the public as well. So every year there are new things to, once again, the patient at the center, making sure that we can help the Caymanian community and the resident community as best as possible.
So a bit of an expansion, not a bit, quite a bit of an expansion, really, working towards, again, the 70,000 square foot modern state-of-the-art medical facility that is currently under construction there in Camana Bay. So lots of movement forward, folks. Again, if you are interested in finding out more about this, you can most certainly contact the team there at Health City. Shamari, best contact number 945-4040.
You're right. So that's or 946-4040 as well. But if you ever have any questions and you don't feel like calling, our info@healthcity.ky, you can always email and we'll get right back to you, or just go on our website and you'll be able to click the contact us and put in the information, and we'll contact you within the same day.
All right. Well, thank you so much. We had Dr. Benoit, Dr. Vikas, and Shamari, soon to be Dr. Shamari, in the house with us again for another Medical Rundown Tuesday segment, telling us about the Radiation Oncology Center that's coming online next month. So lots of exciting things happening, folks, for Health City, Cayman Islands. So congratulations to all of you. Like you said, this is something that will undoubtedly benefit the people of the Cayman Islands. Folks, they mentioned the population. I saw someone comment about that. The reason that he mentioned the small population of the Cayman Islands is to say that in most instances, having access to this type of equipment for a population so small is not something that would ordinarily be available or that would happen. But because they're part of the larger group that makes up Health City, they have buying power elsewhere in the world, and they're able to work the Cayman Islands into their plans when it comes to ensuring that this community also has the best and most modern equipment available. So thanks again to all of you for joining the program. Shamari, welcome back.
Definitely. Great to be back.
All right. Happy fantastic. So again, folks, we were talking with Dr. Benoit. Thank you, Dr. Benoit, Dr. Vikas, and Shamari, who's head of the marketing team over there at Cayman Islands Health City. You guys have a fantastic day.
Thank you. Thank you, Sandra.
Thank you, sir.
For over 7 years, Health City Cayman Islands has provided life-changing and life-saving medical care for the people of the Cayman Islands at our hospital in East End. During this time, we have become an integral part of the community, and now focused on connectivity and collaboration. Our vision is to make an even greater impact on the quality of healthcare for the people of our islands. In summer 2022, we will open a 70,000 square foot state-of-the-art hospital built on 3 acres of land at the southern end of Camana Bay, bringing much-needed specialized medical services closer to where people live, work, and play. Camana Bay, located at the heart of 7 Mile Beach, is home to schools, businesses, shops, restaurants, and entertainment, And now, Health City Camana Bay, a $100 million world-class hospital. Health City Camana Bay will include an advanced cancer care unit offering bone marrow transplantation and the latest cancer treatment technology. It will contain a modern neonatal intensive care unit, emergency and critical care, purpose-designed operating rooms for surgical specialties such as cardiology, neurology, and orthopedics, and robotic operating systems. A master plan for improved health care for the people of the Cayman Islands. Ready to meet the needs of our patients here and now, we have already established a footprint in Camana Bay with the opening of our clinic. Offering short wait times, extended opening hours, including evenings and weekends, and the ability to see our world-class doctors closer to where our patients live and work. The clinic has bright, comfortable waiting areas and treatment rooms, friendly staff, expert care, lab services, and diagnostics. Reflecting our operating philosophy of patient-centered care, convenient access to our specialist doctors allows our patients to focus on getting better rather than getting to appointments. With our unwavering commitment to our community and the thousands of patients who trust us to care for them, we look forward to building healthier communities in a place where life unfolds, blossoms, and thrives. Welcome to Health City Camana Bay.
All right, folks, my apologies. I was grabbing my chair there and forgot I still had my camera on. All right, you guys got to see a little bit behind the scenes of what's going on in the studio. All right, so good morning, everyone. Again, thanks. Big shout out to the folks over at Health City Cayman Islands. I've been standing and I decided I wanted to take a little bit of a sit for just a toops. Right, okay. So 943 Bobo is the telephone number. We're going to kick off a number of discussions this morning. So as you guys are well aware, we aired the press conference yesterday, and there were a number of things that were discussed in the press conference. So first up, of course, the announcement was made that the government, Cayman Airways, has decided, or national carrier has decided to reopen the Panama Route. And this was kind of interesting. I mean, it's been closed for a minute. I actually forgot that we used to have a direct route to Panama. I've actually been to Panama courtesy of that direct route. So the announcement was made with the CEO of Cayman Airways, Mr. Fabian Worms, along with the new board director, Mr. Ooh, I'll tell you his name in just a second. Oh gosh. It'll come to me. Don't worry. But I wanted to really talk about some of the aspects. Bergstrom, yes, thank you. Some of the aspects of what was discussed in that. I had to look up. I'm a little bit more familiar with his daughter, Bree. Oh, did she get married already? Oh my gosh. I'm looking at her profile picture. She looks so pretty in that wedding dress. Oh my goodness. So yes, Mr. Bergstrom is the new board director for Cayman Airways as well. And of course, this resumption of service is going to begin in June. Thank you, Val. Chris Bergstrom is an ex-pilot as well. Yes. So they're going to start in June. The minister said that the resumption of the flights into Latin America, into that market, was a strategic business and a tourism move on the part of the national carrier. And they were expecting to, see some, sort of forward movement in the region, generally speaking. It's interesting. I must say that I'm no expert on the national airline. I think a lot of us would love to know more, and we certainly would invite them to come onto the program and tell the people of the Cayman Islands a little bit more about what they do over there at Cayman Airways. Honey child, we all want to know more, to be quite frank and honest. And it would be really fantastic if they explained some of the routes that we have decided to open up and exactly how profitable or not those routes are. Recently, we opened up for the first time the Los Angeles route, which I think a lot of people are excited about. That certainly allows people to travel from the Cayman Islands to LA and then to Asia and other places a lot easier. But what does it bring in to the country in terms of visitors is often the question that people will ask. You know, there was a point in the press conference where there was a question asked about how that route has been doing. I think the minister said that it was doing quite well. And then the CEO kind of answered a little bit differently. So I wasn't quite sure. I was a little bit confused on exactly what that meant. So the minister said it was doing really good. And then the CEO of Cayman Airways, Mr. Fabian Worm, says that it's going through a slow period. So I was like, which is it? Those are two contradictory things. Is it doing really good or is it going through a slow period? They do not mean the same thing by any stretch of the imagination. So I was a little bit confused by that. So perhaps we can get some clarification on that point. That would be fantastic. You know, these things happen during press conferences. Now, a lot of you were asking, where were you, Sandy? Did you not get invited? And I said, listen, one thing I must give this government credit for, regardless of whatever, right? They have been very consistent in ensuring that I get invited to things like press conferences. You know, the last government, not so much so. They were very not the most professional and balanced and fair in that regard. I must say that I do not have that issue at all with, you know, and it's the civil servants who send out the invites and stuff, but they have gotten the directives from the, I guess, the elected arm that there will be no media house that will be discriminated against. So we do get invited. What happened yesterday is the press conference was happening during the talk show. So, you know, I'm not going to abandon y'all to run to a press conference unless like the sky is falling in kind of press conference. And I knew it wasn't going to be anything like that. So what we did instead, folks, was we just carried it here live on the show so that you guys could actually hear it. Even if you were in your car, you had the benefit of listening to it on Bobo 89.1 FM as well. So, and then, yes, it was very, very interesting to go through all of the, you know, all of the elements of the, to just tune in keenly and listen to the talk show as it was actually happening. So I was tickled pink, quite frankly, to be able to tune in and to hear that. So that was the first big announcement. You know, okay. He says that it's going to open up markets such as Colombia, Brazil, and Argentina. I don't know much about the Latin American market in terms of tourism and how much of those individuals wish to come to our country, but I guess maybe from a strategic and logistical perspective, it makes sense to at least have that option available. Some persons after the press conference called me and said that they'd had concerns about what else we might be importing in. And listen, this is always a real and legitimate concern. But it doesn't mean that you shouldn't open up a route just because you are concerned about, you know, drugs or illegal activity or, you know, even illegal persons coming into your jurisdiction and what you could potentially be attracting. Because let's be quite frank, nobody has more criminals than America. Highest incarceration rate in the world, y'all. And we go there every single day. Miami, Tampa, Los Angeles, New York. Our national airline is in and out of the United States of America. So, you know, it just means that CBC has to always be on the lookout. They have a very, very specific job to do to keep our borders safe from people importing things in. And, you know, the good people of the Cayman Islands also have to be part of the solution because trust me, if someone in Honduras really is minded to bring drugs into the Cayman Islands, they will find a way to do so, whether it's on the boat that's bringing in your fresh lobster and fish and whatever, or if it's on our national airline. So all ports of entry should be areas of concern, quite frankly, regardless of where people are coming from. We've got Jamaica, big route there. They don't necessarily always take the legal option of using Cayman Airways, but they certainly, will come on a canoe boat and bring in a lot of the drugs and weapons that we see coming into this country. So all of our border control agencies, CBC, the what are the Marine people called again? The Coast Guard. They all have to just be on the ball when it comes to protecting our borders. So Jonathan says, I wonder if Cayman Airways will be throwing package deals with hotels and transportation, or will it just be flights? So I don't really know. No, Val, he's actually Chris Bergstrom. He's actually the chairman. He was appointed. I don't know if he's acting, but remember when the last chairman resigned, I think the decision was made quickly to put Mr. Chris Bergstrom in that position. So I don't know. Is he deputy chair? Hold on, let me double check. I thought he'd gotten appointed chairman. So why wouldn't they have the chairman there? So the resignation was in August of last year. We did hear by way of the grapevine that Mr. Bergstrom was likely going to be appointed in the position. And I do think he was appointed. I don't necessarily see an announcement, but there were some new board members that were appointed. So maybe he's acting. Is that a permanent? I don't know. We'll have to double check. But you know what is interesting? There's been other new appointments to the Cayman Airways board that have raised an eyebrow or two. How do I say this? It's raised an eyebrow or two. And in fact, somebody said he's actually deputy chair. Captain Chris is deputy chair. So who's the chairperson and why weren't they there? I guess is the next logical question. So I've got confirmation. The chairperson was unavailable for the press briefing. Okay. All right, there you go. So Captain Chris is actually deputy chair. Thanks for the clarification. So there's been other people recently appointed to the Cayman Airways board. And I can tell you that move was on the streets, on the Panama Route. A lot of people are asking questions about this individual and what makes her qualified to sit on the board. And nobody seems to know. Very, very young, no real world experience. Just graduated from law school, I believe. And the first thing she does when she's appointed to the board was go to Cayman Airways and say, oh, I'm the new board member. What benefits do I get in order to be able to travel? And they were like, wouldn't your board appointee have told you that? I mean, are you sure you're properly appointed yet? Have you gotten your confirmation letter? Because wouldn't the confirmation letter tell you what privileges you're entitled to? But my God, certainly made me pause that the first thing you do when you're appointed to a board is you run to get free flights off of Cayman Airways. Not very impressive, actually. How about you actually attend the board meeting first and make some sort of contribution first? Say something at a board meeting that people go, oh, she might actually be here for all the right reasons and not what everybody else is thinking. I'm just saying, do that first and then ask about benefits like later on. Honey child, y'all make yourselves look so unprofessional. Oh God. And then all the rumors, all the clickety-clack rumors that are out there in the community about, why you even got appointed to begin with. You only give that more credence whether those things are true or not. It's really quite sad, to be honest. Sometimes you do yourself less justice, but someone quite interestingly enough, the person who sent these slew of emails about about Miss Cayman, which we're going to get to in a second, actually talked about this young lady in their attempts to throw the minister under the bus. And they made allegations about why she was appointed on that board. And I must say that despite, I think that series of those emails came from a Miss Cayman board member who had something to gain by trying to throw the ministry and the minister under the bus. And other people in addition to that. I do think that, the fact that they said that was interesting because quite honestly, it's not the first time that I've heard what they were saying. And I heard it the minute this person was appointed to the board. So again, when you make board appointments, folks, that don't make any logical sense, like people can't look and say, okay, well, this person has, like if you appoint a Jude Scott, if you appoint a Chris Bergstrom, those appointments make sense. Chris Bergstrom, retired pilot, he has industry specific experience, someone who has years of banking experience. Like people can understand those things. People don't understand when you appoint a young lady who has no experience in life, fresh out of school, Cayman Bracker. Nobody knows who the hell she is. But there's nothing that we can point to say, has she even had any sort of job experience? Like none of that makes any sense. And so you then wonder, why is this person on this board? I get that we're trying to appoint more young people on boards, but this appointment kind of doesn't make much sense. I'm just saying, unless there's something else that we don't know. The other thing is, in relation to board appointments, I must say that some people, is there a shortage of people who want to sit on boards? Is that a problem? Because it seems to me that there must be, because we keep reusing the same people on boards. And I've noticed this with this particular government more so than others, and I don't know why that is. Why do we have, let's take Alric Lindsay for an example. He's no longer, he's resigned, I think, from everything. But why was Alric sitting on 3 and 4 boards? I mean, he does have like a regular job and other stuff that he's supposed to be doing as well. So you mean to tell me that you couldn't find somebody to head up NRA? He was an NRA off-reg. Where else was Alric? Somewhere else. NRA off-reg. There's like at least 1 or 2 more, right? So I'm confused. Why was he on so many boards? They just appointed Mr. McLean, Gilbert McLean. He's now the chairperson of 2 boards. That's a lot of work, right? He has HCCI, that's going to take up a lot of his time. That's some of these board appointments are, kind of like full-time jobs almost. So that's a lot. And then he's now just taken on NRA as well. NRA is massive. Some of these boards meet a lot. HSA is another one that meets a lot. Port Authority. Some of these boards are very, very busy with things that they have going on. The NRA, the biggest thing coming down the pipeline is that East-West Arterial and the, EIA that's now out in the terms of agreement, the scope of that whole project. That's a lot for poor Gilbert at his age to be taken on. So, what gives? I'm just wondering if there's some kind of shortage that I don't know anything about. I don't know, honey child. I'm only here to ask questions some days. So this person says, no, Sandra, there is a shortage of political ass kissers to serve on board. Y'all can get me in trouble. Will y'all please behave? It's Valentine's Day. I've been told that my name is in the no column for any board because I don't play the game. Oh, Lord, have mercy. My goodness. Well, the good news is my name is on the no column too, because I don't want it. So I've made it very, very clear. Please don't ask me. I've been asked before and I'm not interested. Don't ask me again. Thank you. Lord have mercy. What a hot mess. So I've just gotten confirmation that indeed yes, Mall Road announced back in July that the deputy chairman, Dr. What's his name again? Professor John Paul Clark, he's actually been appointed now as the chairman after Mr. Jude Scott resigned. Interesting. All right. So yes, he was deputy chairman. Very good. Dr. John Paul Clark. Nice. What a hot mess, honey child. I can't say much more about that, but congratulations to Cayman Airways. Based on the comments that I saw online in relation to the, reopening of the Panama Route, a lot of people seem to be very, very excited about this. And I dare say that it appears a lot of people will be taking advantage of the Panama Route with a view to hopefully traveling. I don't know how much has changed recently. It's been a minute since I went to Panama. Oh gosh, when was that? That was probably like maybe over 7 years ago was when I went. And I think since then, because they were in the middle of doing some sort of expansion to the Panama Canal. So I'd be interested to see, is that now completed? How does it look? So I wouldn't mind a trip to Panama. It's kind of an interesting country. Having said that, one thing I found very, very interesting about Panama, I don't know, honey chill, but you know how people talk about how great the shopping is in Panama? I wasn't really that impressed, to be honest. One of the things that I found like super, super weird about Panama is that the clothing does not always, like the sizes don't really match. Like when they say something's a large child, I don't know, large in Panama isn't really a large in America, apparently, because they must be made by little Chinese minions who like a large for them is still like a size 4. Because child, you can't even get into large. You can't even get 1 foot. I'm like, what kind of large is this? In the United States of America, you know, large you can get into, but in Panama, even my husband had to chuckle because he wears a small, but their small for him was like, he's like, these are like for 12-year-olds. These are not adult small sizes. So we had a good laugh when we tried to go shopping in Panama. It just never really, the shopping part was not, maybe I need to find a good shopping buddy, but I was not impressed by the shopping. I was like, whatever. And then the quality of stuff wasn't really what I was there for. So anyway, that was the big announcement yesterday. This person says, don't say anything bad about Panama. You just don't want us having fun. What kind of fun are we talking about here, honey child? Because I know y'all men, you love certain destinations for a reason, because your definition of fun is not going to see the nature preserves and shopping and massages and that sort of thing. Well, maybe massages, but the wrong kind of massage. Your idea of fun is very, very different. So we ain't going to get into that one, honey child, because I can't even with you this morning. But anyway, congratulations to Cayman Airways. Well done. So we got, where else do we have now? Panama, New York, Miami, Los Angeles. I got to go to LA. I've not been to LA in a minute. I went to LA many years ago, but it was just like a drive through California. And what is that? US 1 or whatever that route is that takes you through. And so we stopped in LA and we stopped in a couple different areas of California, Monterey and a few other areas. California is a very fascinating place. I really quite fancy, like another trip to California to kind of check things out. But yep. So he talked about that. He also talked about the port in a very, very interesting article and the necessity to actually expand the cargo port. Now, the people in this country have made it very, very clear that they were not interested in the expansion of the what do we call it? The cruise port facility at that location. So the people voted nope to that. The last government did not want to listen to the people as it related to that. And I dare say that certainly played a role in why they were not reelected to continue to serve the people of the Cayman Islands. Now, having said that, the minister said, don't confuse the issues now, that we still need a bigger cargo port. And whether it's going to go there or it's going to be moved or go somewhere else, we need to look at some viable options. So, what I will say is, I don't know. I understand his point, and I think that there's a lot of things that are obviously being imported in. And, everything from food, like you mentioned, the necessity for us to make sure that we can bring food in. We do have a growing population. Any sort of issues can delay the importation of food into this country. We've got all sorts of goods, like everything. We're not a country that manufactures anything. So let's be very, very clear. We have to import a lot of the things that we use. Yes. We have some farming on a smaller scale. but we don't have anything that can self-sustain this country. So what that means is a lot of the things that we have to do, it's a matter of importing those items into the Cayman Islands. And so that's the port side. That's the cargo side of things. And so he said that, they're looking at the business case for this. See, where it's going to go, what's going to happen. I kind of feel like the current location is probably not the best location, but I don't know what our options are. I understand that there are people in the current board. I mean, this has been circulating for a while. Again, it's just on the Panama Route. I'm just going to tell y'all just how I get it. That there are certain people who have clients, they work in industries and businesses, that they have clients that definitely want this port moved from its current location. They want it out east. I can see arguments that could be made for the moving of the cargo port facility for sure. Even the trucking in and out of Georgetown, it's really not kind of the best option. But then does that do things like, increase the cost of the goods because now you're trucking it from East End, just by way of an example, into Georgetown? The grocery stores are mostly, a lot of them are located in Georgetown. Does that impact that in any way, shape, or form? It's, not a huge island, so I don't imagine that the on-island trucking expenses are that much, but who knows? So he said that, listen, from his perspective, this is about addressing the country's food security, and there is a business case that has been made for the expansion of the cargo port facility, and they're now having to consider development plans for it. What the last government did, which a lot of people saw it as a very disingenuous move, is that they put the two issues together. So they married cruise port berthing along with the cargo facility. And a lot of people thought that that was a strategic decision from the Progressives administration, because it's like, oh, you can't get one without the other. So the arguments were there to support the cargo port facility. And you find a lot of people who were against the cruise ship berthing facility were not necessarily against the cargo port facility, but they didn't want them put together because they thought this is political, people trying to do political, magic here. By putting them together, they're forcing your hand. And they're saying, well, if you support a cargo port facility, we're not going to get one without the other. So you don't have a choice. You're going to have to go with both. This government seems to be taking a different approach at this point. They're not necessarily touching the cruise port berthing and the building of the piers at all, but they're saying that there has been a business case made for the cargo port facility expansion. And so now they're looking at this strategic outline case concerning that, and that SOC, strategic outline case, has been accepted by cabinet, and approval has been granted to proceed with a development of an outline business case for the project. So that was the quote there from the minister. So he talked about the two comprehensive documents, the SOC and the business case, serve different purposes and are required under the procurement law. And so I'm sure we're all looking forward to seeing those documents. So he goes on to say during his discussion on this, that the cargo port is the main port of entry for at least 95% of everything that is imported into the Cayman Islands. And during the day, it accommodates the cruise operations, and then at night it transitions for cargo operations from 6 p.m. until 5 a.m. And I can tell you that it's really busy, and there is an argument that seems quite logical to me to separate the two, separate cruise berthing and the cruise facility from the cargo facility. We've never had an incident where something happened on the cargo side that really prevented, to the best of my knowledge, I should say, prevented the cruise ships from operating during the day. But you could see where that is something that could very well happen. It's probably just a matter of time, right? So separating the two, I believe, would have a lot of benefits. But this is something that I think we could discuss in detail on a future program. So let me see if we can't get some individuals together who have an opinion that is based on facts Because they're in the know and they're in a position to give us some of their thoughts. And let's have a discussion as this advances. This is the very, very early stages, folks. So we'll see exactly how that goes. But he says that in about 10 years, we're going to be nearing capacity of the vehicles that are currently being called there. You take that along with the concerns of, staff being stretched. The port staff, poor them, honey child, they working overtime, and a lot of it too. Did they ever pay those guys overtime that they said they were owed for years ago? Probably not. So they're saying that there is a growing concern that as the economy grows, as the population grows, there is going to be a maxing out of what that current facility can actually do. So I think this is good, forward thinking. 10 years out, that's not a long forward thinking situation, but this government is just in, and they're picking up the baton, the mantle on this, and they're saying that we need to move forward. In addition to that, I also want to, he did mention something here that I thought was important to mention even at this early stage. The shipping industry changes. So just like the cruise ship industry is changing, they're getting a lot bigger ships, and we're saying, hey, we don't necessarily want to be a part of that. It might mean that certain ships can't call on the Cayman Islands, and the economic benefits you have to accept, yay or nay. Sometimes you say we want to protect the environment at all costs, and if that means fewer tourism numbers, then that's fine. The people who are out there in the industry, the water sports operators, the taxi cab operators, and all these people, they are the ones who are directly impacted by this. But to be clear, it's a trickle-down effect. A lot of other people are impacted as well. But those are the choices that you have to make. And sometimes you do make sacrifices for the protection of your natural resources, which you cannot replace once they are destroyed. Having said that, even on the cargo side of things, ships are changing. Ships are becoming bigger. That's why the Panama Canal, we were just talking about the route to Panama, they had to update that facility so that bigger ships can come in and out of the canal. That was a massive multi-year project. And so as these ships become, even the cargo ships become bigger, we also have to understand the implications of that on our port and the location of the existing port and the, water in that area, the depth of the water, and so on. So some technical things that definitely need to be taken into consideration as well as we move forward and all these industries develop and change over the years. Nothing stays the same, that's for sure. All right, so let's jumping on your comments. By the way, again, if you didn't hear me earlier, happy Valentine's Day to all of you. We've got Perla in the house. Debbie, how are you? Happy Valentine's Day. Thank you very, very much. Jonathan is going on and on about package deals for the Ritz and Hyatt because he doesn't want to stay in a regular 2 or 3 star hotel. Do you have money, Jonathan, for the Ritz or the Hyatt? Especially the Ritz, $1,000 a night. You got that kind of money floating around? You must have executed your 3G plan already, honey. Chill. Let me do some birthday shout outs this morning. We've got a happy birthday greeting going out to Miss Romelia. She's sweet 16 again, Miss Romelia, or have you reached 21 yet? So it is Miss Romelia's birthday. We also have friend to the show, super fan. It is also Marshall's birthday. And Marshall is probably about 21. I would venture to guess he's probably 21 years young. So we've got, let me tell you who else has a birthday today. Oh, y'all are born on Valentine's Day. Aren't y'all sweet? Let me see who else has a birthday today. Who else has a birthday? We have, where's my Facebook birthday list? Yikes. Oh, hold on. I see what it's doing. I got you, Facebook. I got you. All right. We also have birthday greetings going out to, let me see you, Carol Ebanks. It's also her birthday. Lisa Cummings celebrating a birthday. Dion Williams. Valissa Smith. AKA Pinky, also has a birthday today. Lots of y'all born today. Look at that. Marshall Forbes, we just mentioned. Opal Millwood, Valentino Salvi, all Valentine's Day babies. Oh my gosh. Imagine that. Well, happy birthday to all of you. Enjoy. Hopefully you'll get some special presents and gifts today. So Mr. Amelia was mentioning a cake today, and I told her, honey child, I've never made a what did she say? She mentioned a coconut cream pie. I've never made a cream pie of any kind in my entire life, to be honest. I don't think they're the hardest cakes to make, but I've just never made one. So I told her I experiment in the kitchen sometimes, but I would not want her to be my first person to taste the cake if I were her, the pie. Maybe I'll go buy you a coconut cream pie, but I'm not going to make you one and then have you drop down and be like, oh, Sandy killed me with her bad coconut cream pie. Child, I try to be very honest about my skill sets. So this person says that ministers, well, they mentioned Kenneth, but of course, Kenneth is not the only one who put campaign team members on boards, including Cayman Airways. That's nothing new and earth-shattering or run-of-the-mill. That's exactly how it happens, folks. A lot of people get paid back political favors, by getting a board appointment. What a hot mess. Elton, good morning. Elton says, Sandy, nepotism, favor, and fear, feudo chronic illnesses of the political landscape in our Cayman Islands. Well, I'm not going to argue with any of that because it does happen. There are people who are qualified for sure that go on boards, and then there's some people who I have to shake my head and wonder how the hell did that happen? And some of them have already been removed from boards because of less than desirous behavior already as they were appointed. They were showing up on the cause lists for, dabbling in cocaine possession, all kind of stuff. And our ministers put them on boards. I'm just saying. Know who you're putting on the boards, ministers, even if they're your political friends. Don't shoot yourself in the foot and make yourself look stupid, because that calls into question your ability to make other decisions as well. Yes? Hello, Everton. Wishing everyone a happy Valentine's Day as well. Jonathan says Premier Powell has a pretty good ring to it. Honey child, we're going to have to give you a reality check. You got a long ways to go. I'm not saying that it's not possible, Jonathan, but we need a track record. We got to stop electing people who have no track record to political office. So I don't mean to dash away your pie in the sky dreams, but we really need to do better. Honey child. Everton says we had a mass shooting yesterday at Michigan State again. Oh, poor America. How many is that this year? 50 mass shootings already? What have you gone in America, honey child? I can't keep up with the mass shootings. It's a lot. And it's only February. Y'all need to do better. So let's see. Do we have a number yet of mass shootings in America so far? Lord Jesus. Oh, the gun violence. Check out this website, gun violence archive .org. And they list the number of mass shootings already for 2023. It's a lot. It's 3 pages worth of, oh my God. On January 1st alone, they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ohio, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Florida, Illinois, Florida. That was just in the first. The second, they didn't have any. In the third, they had 2 more. On the fourth, they had 3. On the fifth, they had 2. Oh, America, I can only pray for y'all. I don't know what else to say, but it's a lot of mass shootings. So they keep a track of every single mass shooting. Wow. The New York Times has posted a partial list. Said there's already been dozens so far this year. And like I said, today is only the middle of February. Wow. The Gun Violence Archives, the same website I was just telling you about, has counted 67, you heard me right, 67 mass shootings in the United States for 2023. And that's a month and a half in. 6 of them involved 4 or more fatalities. Last year, they had 647 mass shootings. So, Everton, I don't know, honey child. Sometimes I think about, would I ever move back to the States? You know, buy a little retirement condo in some nice little place in Florida or something. And I don't know. I got to tell you, the whole safety concern. You got serial killers, mass shootings, rapists, and crazy people. I don't know. I'm just like, Lord Jesus, take the wheel. Jim says Latinas like tight-fitting clothing. Child, they better learn a thing or two about letting their parts air out. Tight-fitting clothing is generally not good for you, for circulation and freeness and, you know, airing things out. Wear loose clothing, folks. It's better for you. Mermilia says that she went shopping at the free economic zone. I kind of think that's where we went. But again, I wasn't impressed. I was like, yeah, give me Miami any day, child. I can find me a deal for $6.99. Darlene says you're right. Shopping was very off in sizes, right? I mean, Lord, I'd have to go from my 50 by 50 to like 100 by 50 to fit into some of those outfits. Alejandro says, is this going to make the cost of living more efficient? The cargo port or what? What is this? Is the question. Moya says we need a bigger port facility. Our population is growing and we import almost everything. So it's important that we have a state-of-the-art facility with enough space to allow bigger ships to bring in the items to sustain us. I mean, I do think it's almost a no-brainer. We just need to hear the logistical details of the where, the when, the how, and the who, so that we can kind of, go from there. But yes, and, that's precisely why, like I said, the last government knew that we needed this cargo expansion facility. And so they purposely put the two together as a package to say, well, if you need this, because we need the cargo port expansion, you better take it along with this other thing, which was a cruise berth piers and berthing facility. And people are like, no, Sir Alden, you're not gonna fool us. You're not as smart as you think. And so people were gonna shoot that down. He never did have his referendum. But of course, he wasn't taking no for an answer. His personality is so interesting because it's not the first time that he's demonstrated that he refuses to listen to experts and to people. When he's building the school, remember what he said? Not even God could stop him. I said, oh, honey child, don't you be testing God now, Don't do that, because sometimes he'll show you who's really boss. Okie dokie. Perla, good morning. Says if we ever get this port bigger, what other things we need to come into Cayman? More cars, motorbikes, electric scooters, boats, yachts. What else do we need to ship here if the port is bigger? Well, like I said, the ships are getting bigger. And the population is growing. Folks, I saw somebody comment earlier about, we don't have the population of India. Cayman would never have the population of India. We don't have the land space for that. But at the end of the day, you have to understand that population growth happens, right? There are very few people in the world, very few places in the world that have a retraction in the population where it's not growing, it's remaining stagnant or whatever. And one of those places, I was reading something about this the other day. I saw a video actually. They're actually paying people $60,000 a year. This is somewhere out in the cold boondocks of Sweden or somewhere. They're actually paying people $60,000 a year to move there. Because the population is so small, they want people to move there because they need, and there's a lot of things that you don't get with a really, really small population size. So I think managed growth would be great. There's a lot of issues that we need to address about employment and labor and immigration and housing that come with the population growth. But you can't stop the expansion. And if you're in the world of business, like if you're a business owner, you also see the necessity for the population to grow. Business owners don't tend to complain about population growth because they will directly benefit from that. And by extension, so will their employers, which are probably a lot of you who work for these organizations. So you got to think about the bigger picture, but there's a lot of the lack of preparation is what will be, something that will put us in a really bad position as the population grows. And that's why everybody's saying we need this this country developmental plan, so that we understand where we're going, what's the projections in terms of population growth, and how we're going to get there, and what areas of major concern, infrastructure expansion, and so on, that are really, really important. So, Ms. Marva, good morning to you. How are you? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right, so this person says, well, I'm happy I can see my mom more often with the direct flight to Panama. She says, not this Latina. I like to be able to move in my clothes. Oh, Lord, people sending me some of these job things. Mm-hmm. What a hot mess. All right, let me see. Marva says, good morning, Sandy, and the listening audience. Please don't give Foster's, Hurley's, or Kirk's any ideas about increasing costs on groceries if the cargo port goes east. Eggs are $9.99 per dozen, $12.99 per dozen due to the cost of extra fuel in the truck. To bring it from Georgetown, don't go there because this is already BS with the increase in cost. In fact, it is rape in cost. Well, to be fair to all of the local grocery stores, Marva, what you see happening with the egg situation is not something that can be blamed on anything local. In fact, the cost of eggs is a worldwide situation that has driven up costs, not just eggs, but food all over the world. So even as we look at inflation, food inflation, my apologies, for 2022 was double digits increase by 11.4%. Okay, this is the United States of America. We can find these summary findings at the USDA.gov. And so these double digit food prices of increase inflation of 11.4% has hit a number of people very, very hard. So eggs was one of the big things. Oxtail went up in cost, a lot of the essentials. And it's one of the highest percentages increase since they've been tracking food inflation prices. So some countries, here's one for the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. They said prices for food at home went up by 13.5%, according to the Consumer Index. For all urban consumers, there was an increase by 8.3% for the year ending in August of 2022. And over that period, prices for food had increased 13.8%. And that's the latest 12-month, the largest 12-month percentage increase since the period ending March of 1979. Yes. So prices for food away from home, so this is when you're eating out and so forth, increased by 8% for the year ending in August of 2022. Again, the largest over the year percentage increase since October of 1981. So, decades and 40 years, these are some of the biggest double-digit increases that you've seen. So everything from sugar and sweets, fats and oils, cereals, bakery goods, all saw an exponential increase, 16.7%, 16.4%. And of course, dairy products also saw a 16.2% increase in dairy and related products. And there were several key things that really, really impacted certain industries. There were countries, I'll just remind you, there were countries that saw an increase, for example, in wheat concerns around the world. The war in Russia and Ukraine did not help. And so remember when Bangladesh and different places in India, because they eat a lot of rice, honey child, they started to say, oh, no. We can't export any more wheat to these other countries because we need to have reserves. So the whole concept of food security is real. And we don't have a whole lot of options. Let's be very, very clear in terms of where we get our food from. Thankfully, we've not had any major shortfallings, but sometimes you go in the grocery store, you kind of see your brands that you were used to getting before COVID are no longer available, and they're just not there. The grocery stores, again, kudos to them, have done a fairly good job of sourcing. So even if they have to go through Mexico and get it from the Mexican market, Latin and South America, they have been working very, very feverishly with their suppliers, who they have long-standing relationships with, to try to, get access to some of the things that we have grown accustomed to. But my fellow Caymanians, I really want you to pay attention and understand the implications of the world in which we live. Yeah. It is easy to have another unfortunate situation like COVID. Oops, my apologies. And then the next thing you know, we're having a severe food shortage and we can't get a lot of the things that we rely upon. Look at all these nice fresh fruits and vegetables, honey child. They look so good until you can't get them. So food inflation is real, and it's not something that is in isolation. This is something that impacts us, right? Just last year in November, food got increased, food prices 10.6%, grocery prices, again, rising 12%, and menu prices jumped 8.5%. And that was not adjusted for seasonal swings. And again, this information you can get from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, because they actually really track all of this information to an extreme degree. So everything from extreme weather, disease impacting crops and livestock, supply chain complications and issues, geopolitical unrest, including the war in Ukraine, all of these things have compounded to make it difficult for people, even in the United States of America. People are trying to decide, am I going to eat, at this level, or am I going to be able to pay my utility bills? People are having to make some pretty tough choices out there. So eggs have been impacted by the deadly avian flu, where there was a staggering 49.1% more expensive in November. Butter prices hit by a contraction in the milk industry shot up by 27%. So I know y'all complaining, blaming Foster's and Kirk's for the increase in these goods, but I want to make it very, very clear. The Fosters, Kirkernels, and Hurley's family, the Marin family, really has little to no control over some of the pricing that you're seeing shoot up in these areas. These are worldwide phenomenons, folks. This is coming right out of the United States of America. 49.1% more expensive. That's what eggs are running in November. So let's put the understanding of what's causing it squarely where it belongs and not blame people just because they're in the grocery business. They have to eat too. Flour prices jumped by 24.9%. Bread went up by 15.7%. Milk was 14.7% more expensive. And even coffee prices, honey child, went up by 14.6%. Chicken, y'all better go get some of them chicken outside, went up by 12%. Fruits and vegetables spiked at 9.7%. Well, uncooked beef went down, in case you're interested. That fell by 8.1%, and uncooked beef steaks also dropped by 7.4%. Pork roast, steaks, and ribs slipped by 5.1%, and bacon went down by 1.1%. So, there was the whole lettuce situation. Remember, salads went up because, again, of a disease that was hitting the salad, all the lettuce industry and plants. So, there's quite a bit of logical reason. Actually, orange juice, I'm surprised y'all aren't complaining about orange juice. maybe y'all not drinking a whole lot of orange juice, but orange juice was also one of those things that that impacted, you know, that was impacted because of crop shortages, and there was some disease that hit oranges and stuff as well. So there was a deadly and highly infectious avian flu that forced U.S. farmers to kill off millions of egg-laying hens. Remember, just the other day, we thought we might have had an infection here. Thankfully, we didn't, honey child, because that's when you'd see some chicken culling happening. That basically reduced the country's egg supply, and it drove up prices significantly. And yes, even in the United States of America, a dozen eggs, you know, wasn't cheap anymore. It went up quite a bit. So, you know, we have a trickle-down effect. It is more costly to import our foods here, again, shipping and other things. But, you know, if it's gone up 49.1% in the United States of America for eggs, you better believe that here in Cayman, we're going to see that in a real way as well, where everything is more expensive. So this avian flu is so contagious and deadly to birds that the USDA protocol is to kill infected flocks to curb the spread of the disease. Wait a minute. How y'all not out there complaining to the United States government about killing chickens? I bet you wouldn't dare. Go and tell them you're against chicken culling and you want avian flu running amok in their country, and see what they can tell you. In Iowa, who's the nation's leading egg producer, they said that they had more than a dozen sites impacted by the disease, including 3 facilities with where hen lay eggs. And this communications director for the Iowa Department of Agriculture said that they had to depopulate 11.2 million laying hens. In other words, they killed, let's be crystal clear here about what depopulate means, because that's a nice fancy word that is going to confuse y'all. They killed, yes, 11.2 million laying hens out of about 56 million hens in Iowa alone. They say that this particular strain of the flu is actually being spread by wild migratory birds, and the migration season normally lasts from March to April, but that has had a trickle-down effect on you know, these chicken farms all over the place. The domestic population is being impacted. So everything spiked. Wholesale egg prices were spiking, grocery store prices, passing those costs on to consumers, retailers. You know, some of them said that they might take a loss on eggs to try to draw in more traffic. However, you know, they had to increase pricing as well. What a hot mess. So it's a real situation. Now, I don't know if it's going to start to even out a little bit, because that was November, December. We're obviously in the month of February. Don't know what this season is going to be looking like as we start to get ready now to approach getting into spring and summer. But we'll certainly keep y'all up to date and see what happens for each year. So, you know, you got to understand what's happening to our food supply issues and what causes some of these concerns. Dean Shillette's in the house. Hey, Brother Dean, what's up? Expansion of the port should also be one of the questions on the referendum of the gambling and marijuana decriminalization. Looks like y'all want this to be the biggest referendum ever. I figure y'all say, well, if we're in for a penny, we're in for a pound. Another question that I've heard, Dean, a lot of people saying should be in the referendum is if we should get rid of one man, one vote. I'm like, didn't we just vote that in place? Woo. Y'all can't be changing the Constitution every minute now. It makes no sense to do that. But some of y'all fancy, some people who've been elected would not be there if it was not for one man, one vote. This is what people were telling me. Up to yesterday, I had another conversation with someone who is against the one man, one vote situation. It's kind of tricky, though, because I don't know that those people wouldn't be there. But, you know, the thing is, you had more representatives by district, right? So you had 4 people collectively in Georgetown, because essentially you were putting all of Georgetown together. It's unintended consequences. I think the same thing is going to happen with the district councils. Y'all are like, oh, we need district councils. We need it to work. And when it gets put into place, it's not going to be what you think, and y'all will regret it. You will live to regret it. Believe me, because it's just going to be another political thing. Political favors. People get put on district councils who are not effective in any way, and your life will be no better for it. And it's probably going to be costing the people of the Cayman Islands even more money. You know that saying, be careful what you wish for? Y'all need to be careful what you wish for. Y'all wanted one man, one vote. So here we are. I think the caliber of our candidates hasn't changed. Even before we had one man, one vote, we've got several callers. Let me just put the two of you together, and then I'll have Denny go first because he called in first. But I'll merge the calls together this morning. Good morning, Denny. Your thoughts?
My thoughts, when I listen to people,
speak up just a little bit. You're coming in soft.
When I listen to certain people say things about the one man, one vote, you remember when the argument was that the reason why we need one man, one vote was so that we could have accountability. People were not smart enough to understand that accountability is not brought about by one man, one vote. All one man, one vote does is says who's responsible. But the act of accountability has to be something that people do. And if people are too afraid to do it, it won't get done. Now, I can't think of a clearer way to say that. If I could, I would. Some people don't seem to get that. Now, explain to me, if you have an advisory district council that's appointed by the politician, do you believe that the politician is going to appoint someone who will hold them accountable, or they will appoint ass kissers? This is just a frank conversation. Okay? You're not going to appoint people who will tell them what they need to hear. You're going to appoint people who tell them what they want to hear. And if it's advisory, right? Since it will be advisory, it would mean that it's no different than getting on CMR in the morning and saying, here's what I advise the government. If it makes sense and the government wants to follow it, they will. If they don't want to follow it, they won't. That's what it means to be advisory. So you don't need a district council to give politicians advice. I don't see how that is going to bring about accountability in any way other than we have right now. It's just smoke and mirrors. It's just doing something, kicking the can down the road, giving people the impression that they're working hard for them and doing the right things and making things better, when in fact the more things change, the more they stay the same. And let's do a little bit of math here. It won't be too complicated. If you have 19 elected members, and those members, the majority of them make up the government. Okay? If you go back to where we were before you had single member constituencies, the idea is that you'd be voting for, in the District of Georgetown, it'd probably be 7 by now because of the population. I think it was 6 at the time. It would mean that the people in Georgetown would have the opportunity to choose 6 of the 19. Okay? While someone in Northside chooses 1 out of the 19. And what that means is that the people in Georgetown get to decide who the majority is going to be. And the people in West Bay, between the people of West Bay, Georgetown, and Bordentown would choose who the majority is always going to be. By having single member constituencies and one man, one vote, what you do is you take the excessive advantage that political parties have over the system away from the political party and give an opportunity to someone who's challenging the current thinking to have an opportunity to be elected, as opposed to you having to, first of all, join the political party, change the philosophy from within the political party, and then ultimately selling that to the public. Let me tell you why that's challenging. Because in order to become a member of the political party, you have to agree that with what the political party is saying to begin with. So how are you going to change something that you're signing up to agree to, and that they're going to whip you into obedience to if they don't agree with you? How do you get change in that way? You can only get change if you can say something differently. This is why conversation is important. The reason we have conversation is so that we can talk about why we see things differently and why it's important that it be seen differently and what the benefits of seeing it differently are. Right? But you're not going to get accountability by going back to what you had before. You're just going to empower the political machine, the political party machinery, to be even more powerful. That's all that you're going to do. I don't understand why that is difficult to understand. Maybe somebody could explain it to me.
Well, we'll do our best, Danny. Leave me there. We do have another caller who's waiting to jump in the conversation. So again, I think people need to think a little bit deeper about some of those things. I do appreciate Denny's contribution, because what you might think on the face of it sounds good in theory. When you start breaking down the practicalities of it, it's not always what you think, Honey Chow. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, Sandra.
Hi, honey. How you doing? Happy
Well,
Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day to you in the country.
Thank you.
Important thought, I give Dana a joke. I say it this way. You were talking about who the accountability. I said what somebody said. The politicians has got accountability, not to the voters. Their accountability is to the people that pay for their campaigns and behind the scenes things. That's who we can see that's who their accountability is to. So unfortunately, that is the reality part of it. But on a different note, if you don't mind me changing subject one of it, did you hear in Panama Route? Did you hear anything about the gentleman that came in with the firearms? That was put on bail without any pretty much restrictions as far as I'm concerned, because they didn't even give him a month. I was told this morning that he's now skipped bail and gone.
Oh Lord, I haven't heard that, to be honest.
Well, somebody just called me and asked me.
Oh.
Said that they got it from a high official. I mean, not a government, a government employee, but not a politician there. Like I said, this was very clear. But the person that told it to them is pretty reliable, and she said that was the message that she just got, that he's actually skipped bail and he's gone.
My God.
They put up $30,000 cash. They didn't give him no money. In my opinion, I told him, I said the judge should be locked up if that happened, because this is not the first time that this has happened to us. So I can leave you there to catch that one to see if you can give us an update on that one.
Yeah, let me see if I can find that. I mean, I hope that that's not the case. Would I be entirely surprised?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be.
One minute.
So I'll try to see if What a hot mess that would be.
Yeah, but check it on that and then see if you can give us an update on it, please.
Yeah. All right, honey. No
Thank
problem.
you. Bye.
Ooh, honey child, what a hot mess that would be. Surprised? No. Disappointed? Yes. Hot tamales. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program. Hello?
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, ma'am. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning.
Yes, blessings. Happy Valentine's Day, my
Oh,
darling.
her then. I'm good.
You heard Denny this morning?
Thanks. Yes, I said her then. I'm good.
No, he better try and send
One
you
man,
something
one
for
vote.
Valentine's Day, because boy, you love you some Denny.
Yeah, I'm getting to that now. One man, one vote. I didn't like it when it was proposed, and I don't see yet how it is helping the rank and file voter in this jurisdiction. So I still don't like it. I heard Cayman, a one man, one vote proposed in the 1960s. It was during an election campaign, and this gentleman from Jamaica, I'll never forget, he had on a red fishnet looking like marina shirt, and he was wringing his hands down our little corner down there. He was wringing his hands. He said, man, he had went to the meeting last night, but he never understand a thing. He don't know how on a vote, he said. And he talking to himself out in the middle of the road. He don't know how he on a vote. One man, one vote. That was from the 1960s. Finally, we got it. But I didn't want it in the 1960s because I just thought it was wrong. It sounded wrong. I didn't want it when we got it. And I don't see how it has helped us up until now. I'll vote on that one. I don't know. But Mr. Denny could have expounded on it a little more for me. So, I could have some thinking points and ergo then talking points. So if you would even call back and give me another little, I don't know. Like you say, I love you some Denny. So then if
All
you got
right.
anything this morning, yeah.
All right, honey.
Thank
you. I appreciate it. She said, Denny, call back. She wants to hear more of your voice, honey chill. All right, folks. So Anton Peregrine will try to put some feelers out there to see if he has absconded the jurisdiction. I mean, it's kind of interesting that they tell him, oh, don't go close to Seaport, but you don't put a monitor on. I'm like, how the hell does that work? That is oh, Lord. Good morning, Denny. No, sir.
When you're doing a pedicure, you have different tools that you use to perform specific tasks. And once you've used all of those tools individually, they do different things that give you a desired end result, right? Like you wouldn't use a foot file to clip your nails. That's inappropriate. And the same is true in politics. There are certain things that achieves certain goals. And when you say that you're going to have, like people think of one man, one vote and single member constituencies as the same thing, but they're not, right? And so by having one man, one vote, what you're saying is you can only vote for one person. It doesn't say anything else. Now, and the reason for having one man, one vote is equality. But another, if you think about, you remember how you could have equivalent fractions in primary school? Another way of saying equality of the vote is you could say that you can only vote for one person, or everyone can vote for two people, or everyone can vote for four people, but that's equivalent. It's equality, right? What we had before was not equality. What we had was a system that was rigged in favor of certain classes of people in the country.
Mm-hmm.
Why did Georgetown have more than other districts? Well, they said they said that what you needed to have was equity of representation. In other words, if you have more people in one area, you should have a greater number of people. But that was just a way of rigging the game, because the merchants lived in Georgetown. And so if the merchants had a greater say than everybody else, then the merchants would be the ones setting the policy, not everyone else. Right? And the reason why I did the math earlier to say that if you're choosing 6 people in the District of Georgetown out of 19, that's a greater percentage than 1 out of 19 if you were living in Northside. But why would you want it skewed that way? Because I'm a merchant, I'm living in Georgetown, and I think I should have more say than you. But they're not going to word it that way, because that wouldn't fly. But that's what they're doing. And so by changing it from that to an equality of vote, the equality among voters, then no one individual has any more political influence in the polls than anyone else.
Right.
Now, where the influence comes in, and Darlene was talking about that is, the previous caller before her was talking about, was those who finance the campaign. And so if you could finance a political party, let's say you had to campaign nationwide in order to get elected versus in a constituency, which is just a segment of a district, you would need to have more funding in order to do that. Because every time you have a meeting in Georgetown, that requires funding. And if you go to do that in West Bay and Bodden Town and the different places, because you're trying to get as much support from the entire island as you possibly can, that's going to cost you money. Now, why would the supporters give you more money than the political party? Right? Because at the end of the day, all they really care about is they want their project built as close to the 7 Mile Beach sand as they possibly can, or have the building go as high as it can possibly go. And they don't really care about the rightness or the wrongness or the fairness of any of these systems and how it negatively impacts anyone, because they just buy their way. So why would we want to have a system that's fair? Because unless you provide for a way forward that is fair, the only way you will be able to move forward is using unfair means. How is that going to help us? And so if you were to just snap back to the way it used to be, then I can choose in Georgetown, it would probably be changed to 7 votes now because of the population. So I would be able to choose 7 of the 19. Why should I have the power to choose 7 of the 19 and someone in Northside could only choose 1 of 19?
Right. Yep.
Why? I mean, tell me. And the idea that somehow, speaking to the criticism of the current system, they say, well, I don't like it the way it is. Well, you'd have to tell me why you don't like it the way it is. Because the reason for this one provision is not to fix everything about the political system. It's only to address one aspect, just like the foot file that is not for clipping nails. It's only for a specific task. And you need a different mechanism in order to address other specific challenges in the political system so that you can have it be fair and proper, right? And so people will say, well, I don't see why I can't vote for someone in every district.
Mm-hmm.
Well, think about this for a second. I know plenty of people who have challenges keeping track of very small amounts of information.
Mm-hmm.
But imagine you would say, well, okay, I could keep track of 19.
Mm-hmm.
You could keep track of 19, perhaps, if you're good at managing information and you have the time to do all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're running in a campaign, it's not 19 people who's running. There might be 5 people in each district. So it's 19 times 5.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So how do you keep track of all of what they're saying? And deciding on which one of them you want to that's ridiculous. Plus, you're not living in West Bay. The person, okay, you would say, okay, do you want national representation? Well, that's what they do when they go in the House, provided they do what they ought to do, which is to look out for the interests of the public. How could you get that national representation? Have a clause in the Constitution that requires them to look out for the national interests in the legislative process. You don't have to vote for them to get that kind of accountability. You don't want to say, well, just vote for me and trust me when I get in. Can you think of any place in the Constitution order that requires a politician to look out to represent the interests of the electorate?
No, and I think the issue, Denny, has not changed one bit, right? We've always had a question of poor representation. Sometimes it's poor representation because people are not qualified to do the job. Sometimes it's poor representation because they're qualified, but they put their own self-interest before the interests of the people, lining their own pockets or whatever else. To me, that hasn't fundamentally changed. It hasn't gotten any better or any worse with one man, one vote.
Okay. We were just talking about the foot file. Okay. Let me talk about another tool in this pedicure that we're dealing with there. I wouldn't use a foot file to address this issue that you're raising. But the reason why I asked the question about whether there is a provision in the Constitution order that requires them to represent the interests of the electorate is that unless you specify what it is they're going to do, you can't hold them accountable for not doing it. And I'm not saying that you must, that the provision must say that I'm only going to do what the public has said I should do. Okay, I'm not saying that that's the provision you should have. What I'm saying is that you need to have a provision in there that says that when you are acting as an MP, when you're reviewing bills before the House and making decisions, you must do so. You need a provision in the Constitution that requires you to look out for the national interests, not just your own interests. Because in the absence of such a provision, you can't say that what they're doing is wrong. Legally speaking, right? And so you have to have a mechanism by which you say, this is what I expect. And then you can measure how much effort they have placed towards meeting that objective. And you can say, well, it's clear to me you're not even making an effort. Or I can see that you're working hard as you can, even though you didn't achieve it because you weren't able to convince the other politicians to go along with you. I could definitely see you've been working hard at trying to do that.
Leave me there, Denny.
All right.
All right, folks. What a hot mess. Happy Valentine's Day. Yes. I tell you what. Lots of questions and sometimes not enough satisfactory answers, to be quite frank and honest. So Alejandro says not everyone is happy with every decision that's made. Perla says, Alejandro, you know that we need to know about America, because he was saying forget about America, because we have shipments from there and we have families too. please behave, my dear. We have to include other countries because whatever they're doing, though, we're feeling it. Well, without a doubt, folks, we're connected. We don't live in isolation. I remind Caymanians that there's very few things that are happening in this jurisdiction that is not happening elsewhere. And that, in one way, that's a good thing, because oftentimes the same things that we're trying to come to grapple with and figure out solutions for, somebody else has been there and done that. And we can look at what worked for them, what didn't work for them, and then tailor our own solutions. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, Sandy, and happy Valentine's Day.
Yes, thank you so much. Happy Valentine's Day.
Yeah. Now, okay. It's quite. You're discussing a lot of issues today, and I think, First of all, you talk about the flights to Panama and so on. I imagine those fall within what might be a nice Valentine's Day. I'll tell you what falls into that line even more. It is your political discussion with Danny Warren and the other people. That's even more Valentine-like. Now, it's you see the issues raised by Danny and also to a lesser extent the other two callers, you see, are very, very important, because now I'm not quite sure that I've got anything even resembling a solution to them, but more like to acknowledge some of the problems with that. It is necessary to have this deeper discussion because there is sometimes an expectation we have as members of the public that if we write a law in a certain way, then that law will correct things. Now, the law is always there, yes, to correct things, and that's absolutely crucial. There are certain things that have to be done in the Constitution to try and promote accountability. But the other thing that is very often forgotten is that you can have any kind of nice law to make people accountable, but that has to be accompanied by certain political, social realities in society. In other words, when politicians do not do that which they are required to do, there must be people in society who are ready to stick their neck out and say, we will force you to do this. Now, that can be a certain lady named Sandy Hill taking the matter to court. It can be somebody called Danny Warren Jr. taking the matter to court because he felt that some issue relating to his gun license was not properly dealt with, and despite not having representation, taking it all the way to the Court of Appeal, okay? It might be somebody like a Tina Anglin who is saying, well, I disagree with this. I will fight it. It can be all kinds of people, and I could continue naming names. So we need to understand that the law has to be accompanied by a certain amount of activism in the society. And that in Cayman, the problem is there are not enough people to do that. Now, talking about the Constitution and the things that have to go in, part of the problem I find also is that there is no clear provision in the Constitution about how you amend it. Well, in the sense that there is not enough protection of the public to ensure that the government just doesn't go ahead and amend and recommend amendment to the Constitution without proper public consultation. Now, I know that I think last time when they amended the Constitution, they took the document to the Legislative Assembly. But then the problem is that I have grown to be in a position where I don't really totally trust every politician. You can go there and it can be looked at by the government as well as the opposition. But at the end of the day, if there's no public consultation of the Constitution, they can always slip in things which are not sufficiently discussed. And one of them which they slipped in, for example, is that when you complained against judges under the 2009 Constitution, you went to the Judicial and Legal Services Commission. That's where you went, which is a separate body. They amended that so that now if you have to complain, you go to the very people who you are complaining against. In other words, you are complaining against a Grand Court judge, you go to the Chief Justice. And the whole system now has died. They don't want to reveal even how many complaints have been made. There's no structured investigation. There's no proper findings and so on. And what is the result? The result is that then you get judges who will make decisions without being careful, knowing that you can't complain against them. Going back to the point that the other lady made when she said that the judge should be locked up. Because if you can have a system where the complaints are easy to make, to be made to a separate body, the separate body can look at the statistics. For example, they can say, hey, look, these statistics here regarding granting of bail are a problem. The commission cannot change a court decision, but they can compile statistics which will guide the policy regarding what to recommend to the Chief Justice and so on. And all those things then can be corrected. But anyway, I think that there's a need for a deeper discussion. People must understand, in closing, people must understand that when politicians go out there and they say, we want to enact all these institutions supporting democracy, you should understand that most politicians don't actually believe those. They are forced to do them because they have to get elected. But once they get elected, they indirectly undermine those because then it doesn't suit them. But I think this is a very, very necessary discussion. Accountability, both in terms of the law and the facts and the political realities. I should leave you there. I thank you.
Thank you so much, my dear. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Well, I tell you what, accountability, that will take us nicely into our next discussion, which was also brought up at the press conference yesterday. Miss Cayman Islands universe, finally a decision. Took long enough. And, it was interesting what the minister said. And I would like some proof of what he said. Not to say that I don't believe the minister, but I'd still like to see some proof on this regard. So the minister said that basically their hands were tied. They couldn't do anything because somehow they have managed to sign an agreement with the Miss Universe International pageant that doesn't allow them to make their own decisions. Say what? Huh? How does that make any damn sense? I have no clue. I don't know. Seems illogical to me. And I don't know who signed that agreement. So I've been digging to see when the Cayman Islands government actually took over the Miss Cayman franchise, because at one point it was a private franchise and private individuals and organizations that had it. And so I was able to confirm that in 1992, that is when the government took it over. And the first chairman of the committee was Miss Edna Moyle. So I got confirmation of that early this morning because I've been doing some digging to see exactly when that happened. Well, so interesting that the government is now saying that they're contemplating whether or not they should continue to keep the franchise. We put up a poll in our website. It's both on the primary page as well as in a post. You can vote either way. I can tell you what, if the government wanted to hear what the people thought, most of us say get rid of it. Let somebody else do it. Yeah, pretty much. So the announcement was that Miss Tiffany Leanne Connolly has been stripped of her title as Miss Cayman Islands Universe. Now, we did a story on this, and I must say that this is the first time that a Miss Cayman Islands reigning queen has been stripped of the title since government has held the title. Now, to be fair, it's not the first time that it has ever happened, because apparently when Miss Celeste Broderick had it, and I should say for the record that I don't know Miss Celeste. Most of these people I don't actually know. I tell you guys already. I don't know Tiffany. I don't know her mama. I don't know her daddy and her papa and the boyfriends and this one, that one. I don't know these people. I could really oftentimes care less about knowing them or not knowing them. That's not what's really important here. It's that we show no fear or favor when we discuss these issues, and we discuss them, on the same even keel. So someone reminded me that she was not the first person to be stripped of her title. In fact, the person to hold that distinction is Miss Michelle. I don't know what Michelle's name would have been at the time. Oh, Garcia. She's also a Barnes. She's actually a cousin of mine. So they sent me this news clipping from whose publication was this? Was this a newspaper or magazine? This is some publication called New Star that says the queen who lost her crown, Michelle Garcia, tells her story. And what year would this have been? Let me get kind of close to the picture. Hold on one second. That looks like, could it be a May of 1990? Yes, I did enlarge it a little bit. May of 1990. Ooh, child, this magazine was expensive. $2.50 back then. What mess. Cayman Islands International News Magazine. Oh, I've never even heard of them before. But anyway, someone sent this picture yesterday. Oh, she looks so pretty there. But I must say that, again, the government didn't have the franchise in 1980. They acquired it, 1990. They acquired it in 1992. And so Miss Celeste Broderick actually dethroned her. And I can tell you without fear of contradiction that what she was dethroned for, a lot of people don't seem to remember, and I've heard some rumors about what it was. It was nothing near what this current Miss Cayman is charged and now convicted of doing. Trust me, honey child. Nothing, not even close. Doesn't even hold a light to the situation. But as with most pageants, there are clauses in there to say that you cannot engage in certain types of behavior. We've talked about, beauty queens all over the world, from the Vanessa Williams of the world, who went on to have a very successful acting and singing career, who was dethroned because of some topless photos that had happened years before she even ran. And this is what happens when you decide to get in the world of pageantry. People are going to dig up your past, your present, your future, everything. What I always found to be bizarre about the current Miss Cayman situation is why she made the decision to run, knowing that she had this trial looming over her head. It is the most bizarre thing that I've really seen in a very, very long time. You know that you just assaulted a police officer, box the officer, cuss out the whole police station, tell them all F them, this, that, next thing, throwing chairs at the police station, beating up a guy, kicking him in the nuts, kicking the son in the nuts, biting him on the chest. This was a violent attack. Those of you are like, oh, poor little Tiff, leave her alone. She needs to beat one of y'all up so you can get a taste of what it's like to be on that end of rage. I mean, my God, how the hell? You know what I'm saying? I feel sorry for her victims because they're reading these comments going, people in this community don't care how she has been terrorizing them and continues to do so with messages and stuff. People don't know that side of the story yet. It's real. Anyway, the minister finally announced that she is no longer the title holder. They finally stripped her of the title. He went on to indicate that she had been informed of this. A lot of you were messaging me saying, oh, snaps, Sandy. This is the same young lady on Friday who was begging about she's the one with the crown in her closet. It seems to me that she's a bit delusional, I must admit. I read that and I thought, she thinks she's going to be keeping this title, like for real? Evidently so. And that's the only reason why she'd be bragging on Friday about having it in her closet. Unfortunately, the government really had no choice in this matter. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, Sandra.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning.
And good morning to your listeners.
Happy Valentine's Day.
And the same to you, although
Thank
I
you.
don't celebrate it, but
Yes.
Anyway, listening to you, if I could offer some information, it mightn't be vital to this cause, but just for part of the history. I believe a lot of Caymanians will remember that Elke Hislop Lockwood, at the time, she wasn't Lockwood, but she and Harriet Lott Hurlston were the holders of this franchise. And that goes way back when, I'm not sure when they took it, but back in the 70s, all of those Miss Caymans like Yvonne Watler, Elstein, Bush, and those, they were all crowned at that time under Harriet and Elke. And the pageant was then held in conjunction with the JCs. And sometime, I want to say in the mid-80s, the franchise was given up by those two ladies. to Steve McFeel, and I cannot remember who the other person is, but I know for sure that Dr. Steve McFeel was involved. And they kept it for a while. And then that's when Mrs. Celeste Broderick took it over. And she had it, I would say, probably between 8 and 10 years. And after that was when the government, Ministry of Tourism, took it over. And I just wanted to give that backdrop to say, I would not be and will not be in support of the government giving this franchise up for many reasons. And this would not have been a consideration if this fiasco hadn't happened. And I just think it would be a most unfortunate thing if the government is not holding it. We know it's going to end up in the hands of non-Caymanians. I don't think that is something that we want to see. We as Caymanians have always run this, and it should stay with Caymanians. So to put it out there on auction, I think is adding insult to this injury. This matter could have been avoided, and I'm saying avoided in capital letters, if the right thing had been done at the very beginning. This was a ticking time bomb.
But having said that, when they gave out the Miss World franchise, a Caymanian got that. So what would stop a Caymanian from getting this one?
Well, and that's the elephant in the room. How do we know? How do we know? And now that it has been tarnished, how can we expect that the supporters, the financial supporters of this franchise, will even continue to support it? So I say
they might not continue to support it even if it's government owned.
Well, let me say, I would still prefer for the government to hold on to it, because perhaps now, even though it's a day late, a dollar short, the decision has been made, the right decision has been made to dethrone her. Perhaps, those who didn't feel good about it may say, okay, well, they did the right thing, so we'll continue. But I am going to stress that it would be poor decision making for them to put this out to bid just because I think we all know it's because of this incident. The remedy here is change the committee. Go back and get people with knowledge, integrity, and skills to run the committee as it was done in the beginning. That's the simple answer to this. And I'm a Caymanian woman. I would feel a whole lot better if that was done. And I do believe that a lot of people would feel so much better if that was done. Clean up, as we said in that ball, clean up your mess. Okay? Clean up your mess. You don't duck it because you can't catch it. It's here on your doorstep now. Clean it up properly. Apologize. Ask the people to continue to support it. Everybody's allowed a mistake. All right, we give you that. But let the Ministry of Tourism keep this franchise. It's not the minister's franchise. It's the ministry's franchise. Ministers are going to come and they're going to go. So I do not think that at present time, with all due respect to the Honorable Kenneth Bryan, that is a good decision. It shouldn't even have been put out there. That's my humble opinion.
Well,
And
I can tell you the polls.
Yes,
the polls are in. So far, 83.33% of the people said the government should give it up. So go to the website, folks, and vote. It's on our primary page. You'll see the post there that says whether or not, should government give up Miss Cayman franchise. So,
Sandra?
Yes, ma'am.
If I could chime in there, I can't speak for everyone, but we're all human beings. And I believe that in light of what happened and how it was handled, that is perhaps why people feel that way right now. But if they were given another option, perhaps they may feel differently. Like I said, I can't speak for everyone. I can only speak for me and for those that I have been in discussions with about it. And of course, we were all upset. I think that I can speak for everyone except a few when this whole thing happened. And what made this worse than it should have been and could have been is that the committee had the opportunity to not even have this, I don't know what you want to call it, fiasco take place. They should have done the right thing in the very beginning. That has been done before, but no one knows about it because it was never made public. Okay? But to allow her to continue to the pageantry, and now this happens. Like I said, this could have been stopped a long time ago. And because of their shortcomings, their incompetence, their arrogance, this is what we ended up with. So what is the remedy here? To give it up? No. Get rid of
Well,
that.
the minister did mention that there were other things that were being taken into consideration, including the direction of the pageant going in a very different. So, the pageant has a new owner who is
New owner, yes,
transgender, and he has
so on,
my apologies, has indicated that it would now be open to married women and even women with children. So I think that was something else he mentioned, that they might not be interested in continuing for those other reasons, as well as this fiasco.
And let me just say, Sandra, please. It says Miss Universe. So now, do you think that the other countries are going to accept that? No, they're not. It's a Miss Universe title. And I'm sorry, I'm not buying that that's why any decisions are being, any contemplations have taken place. It has nothing to do with that. Nobody will convince me that's the reason. That could have been said a long time ago. We all knew, or at least I knew, that it had changed hands and who it changed hands to. So that could have been said then, not now.
What do you think of this comment, Miss Brenda? I know you've been around in the pageant world, but what do you think of what the minister said, which is essentially that they had no choice in the matter in terms of what they can and can't do with a reigning queen?
Okay, so let me answer that based on my experience and the contract that existed when I was there. I would humbly and respectfully say that is not the case. You are the franchise holder and you abide by the rules of the international franchise. However, you as the country have the right to also discipline or run your pageant accordingly. So, in other words, let's go back to when Celeste Broderick had it. She dethroned Michelle, whether right or wrong, she did.
And it wasn't for anything, like I said earlier, as serious as this.
Yes, exactly. Like, notice I said right or wrong.
Yes.
And if she could do it at that time, and she did not have to go to the international franchise to ask them to do it, she made that decision on her own.
Yes.
And that still stood unless it has changed now. Okay? So
and I mean, I would be shocked that any government would sign a franchise agreement that doesn't give them any power at all, basically, is what they've said. To me, that would be
like I
the
said,
worst negotiation in the world.
Well, that is open to discussion. That is open to interpretation, and I don't want to sound like I'm bashing anyone here, but I'm just saying I will not buy that. That's the reason. And certainly it could have been done right here domestically. And all right, let me draw another scenario here. We sent our first runner-up. Okay? So, in essence, that told the world something was wrong with the winner. Something happened. So our first runner-up went. They didn't need to ask permission. Sent her. They were advised. Chloe, whatever her name is, our new Miss Cayman, is going to be the representative for the Cayman Islands. And while I'm on that, let me just say that to think they sent her with the first runner-up sash, not the Miss Cayman sash. I don't know if anyone paid attention to that. Remember, she went there as Miss Cayman Islands. She didn't go there as the first runner-up. She went to represent us. And so she should have gone with everything that the Miss Cayman, whomever was crowned, she should have gone with that. Crown, sash, that belongs to the franchise. That doesn't belong to any girl. Okay? So that too was a misstep. Whose decision it was, I don't know. And that is why I'm going to come back to the committee. We need a proper committee. That's the answer to this problem.
Why do you think it is that, I mean, this is obviously just speculation on our part, but why do you think the minister has been unable to do anything with the committee? You think the Miss International pageant also has his hands tied in relation to that?
But I'm going to answer the last part first concerning the tying of the hands. Simply, no. As to why, to the first part of your question, I guess I'm as ignorant to that as everyone else, and I will not get into speculation. Okay? So that's for the minister to come out and tell us. Okay? However, in listening to his comments, and I don't know if this is wishful thinking or I'm reading into it too deep, I suspect that he has made decisions about the committee. Now, I could be wrong. You know, so let's wait and hear. But like I said, I would never vote in favor of the ministry or the government on a whole, given the Franchise Act.
Okay, leave us there.
I would not, because even if the Ministry of Tourism didn't want to mother it, it could be passed on to culture. Okay.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the time, Sandra.
Okay, my dear.
Okay.
All right, folks. 926 Bobo. 926 or 936? Oh Lord, I just had a brain fart. 936 Bobo is the telephone number. 936-2626. Give us a call, folks, if you wish to comment on whether or not the government should give up the franchise. Like I said, so far, the overwhelming majority of people go to the website. You can participate in the polls. Over 83% have said yes, give it up. Give it up. It's bizarre that the minister, again, hasn't held this committee accountable in any way, shape, or form. Yesterday, he was praising them, which, like I said, be a fair individual. They do work for no form of compensation, no direct compensation. Obviously, if they travel and stuff like that with Miss Cayman Islands Universe, government picks up the tab and those sorts of things, right? But they don't get paid to be on this committee, and it is a lot of work. Some of them said it's almost the equivalent of a full-time job. What's expected of them? Good morning, caller, and welcome to the program.
Good morning.
Hello, caller.
I don't think that the government should hold the franchise. I think that it should be privately run. And the reason I say that is because they offer public scholarships to beauty queen winners. And I think that that is ethically and morally wrong. I mean, if you want to have a private organization that holds the franchise that wants to offer their own scholarship, fine. I have no qualms with that, but I don't think public money should be going toward the education of a beauty queen winner just because she wore a dress the best and she was the best looking.
Yes, sir. All right, my dear. Hot mess.
Thank you.
There's another no in the votes. 936 Bobo, call us in. Tell us what you think on this topic. Should the government give up the franchise? Somebody else was asking about, Richard said, who's going to get the crown out of her closet? I don't know. Hopefully she will have some dignity and just hand it over, and there'll be no need for the police to be called in this instance. I honestly don't know. Boy, that's a tough one, Richard. I've always felt like they were actually afraid of her and the response that they would get, and that's the real reason why they've been tiptoeing around this issue, because they were afraid they were going to get a Bruce Lee kung fu kick upside their heads, which is pretty much her MO. I don't know. I mean, here's the other bizarre thing. The newly minted and crowned Miss Cayman Islands Universe, Chloe Powery Doxy, will not be getting the prize package of the winner. Y'all been asking me this question, and I went and verified and confirmed yesterday. Nope. She got a scholarship package of her own for the first runner-up, and that's what she keeps. So she keeps the winnings of the first runner-up, not the winner. Isn't that bizarre as well? So Tiffany gets all the benefits of the crown. I'm not quite sure that I fully understand that, but she's been granted all that stuff already, so they're not going to take it back. Yeah. That's where it's at, folks. So I just wanted to clarify that, because I do know that a number of you were asking, well, how is that going to work in terms of the prizes? And so I can assure you that that's what it says. So Chloe, she'll get some kind of monthly stipend, and no, Miss Tiffany will not be given back the money that she already got, the $3,500 allegedly per month over the past umpteenth month. She won't be paying that back either. What a mess. This person says, Kenneth is just trying to save face, and he came in like he afraid of Tiffany and Derry. Kenneth still not made his week-long awaited statement, so don't hold your breath for him to explain his actions or non-action regarding the committee members. All right, so here's another exclusive that you're going to hear here first on Cayman Route. Another committee member has resigned. So Miss Donna Bush, who has been in the committee for quite some time, tendered her resignation yesterday. So she's certainly checked out and done with the whole fiasco. My God. It's a sad, sad state of affairs. I mean, this has really, this whole situation has done no one any justice, and the handling of it has been the poorest handling of a crisis situation that I, for one, have ever witnessed. The ministry not ready, the committee not ready, and for sure, I agree with Ms. Brenda that undoubtedly it would be the reason why people are saying get rid of the franchise, but I don't think it's not the only reason. This franchise has been fraught with issues over the years, and people could probably see where money could be better well spent. Even in the grooming of our young ladies, there are many other things that we could prioritize other than just their physical appearance. They're being judged and live in a world where they're being judged by their physical appearance all the time, and we are trying to encourage them to be more than about just your looks and the outward appearance and pretending to be something that you're not. And I'm not so sure that beauty pageants really cut the mark. There's not even a talent component to this pageant. Some pageants do have a talent component. The Miss Universe pageant has no talent component. They're not even about any degree of talent. It's all about who looks the best in a swimsuit and an evening gown. And you answer a few questions, I guess. And how much makeup can you cake up on your face to try to look pretty? And how much pounds of weave can you put in your hair? I, for one, would vote to get rid of the franchise. Privatize it. Maybe Pamela Small will take it over. She's taken over Miss World, and her pageant seems to definitely not have the controversy that this one has. So maybe she's the person to do it. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Morning again. You know what beauty pageants remind me of? You ever been to the agricultural show and when the farmers take out like their prize cow and put them out and they walk them across the stage and this is my cow and they get them blue. I think that the whole thing is just demoralizing and
yes,
not it's like you parade women out like livestock.
Yeah, I did the little, you know what I was thinking about this? I did the little baby contest. Speaking of the agriculture show, they have a little baby version, which is just cute. Where obviously that's just like who's the cutest little baby and whatever. Like you can't judge babies based on much, but they have that segment at the agriculture show. And my daughter got like a first runner up or something. I don't even remember. But to me, it was just fun. And it was like, oh, this is cute, you know, to put her in this. But when it comes to the world of pageantry, I hope that she never expresses an interest, honey child, because I'm just like, no, darling.
Well, you know,
let's get you some academic scholarships. Focus on that brain of yours.
Well, while you're talking on the topic of child pageants, right? I mean, I'm against that too because when you think about how many sickos and pedos are out there, and you're putting on your young girls to go on the stage and put on dresses and put on makeup, and then they're dancing and shaking things that they haven't even developed yet. I mean, you don't know what sicko is looking at that, and no, like honestly, pageants belong in the past. Leave it alone. Let's focus on other things.
All right. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it does have a way of objectifying women and young ladies who we claim that we're using that same platform to build their self-esteem. But it is a bit ironic that you're building their self-esteem based on the outward package and not what's on the inside. Miss Brenda says, I'm looking blurred. I just sent you WhatsApp, Miss Brenda. I checked and it's actually looking pretty good. So maybe it's your connection. Just refresh it. Al weighs in. I saw a message from Al somewhere. Where was that? Oh, Al says the moral policing is selective. It's sickening. I'm not quite sure what you mean by that, Al. Moral policing of whom? Like, I'm not quite sure why it's sickening and why you say it's selective. Perhaps you can expound on that. Ms. Brenda says no money paid, but certainly they get compensation. Miss Moya says, at first I was in support of them giving it up, but after listening to the caller, I feel the Ministry of Tourism should rehabilitate the reputation first and correct the damage they created, then pass it on. Well, you know, the truth of the matter is, the real question becomes, Miss Moya, what could they do to rehabilitate the image? The thing that they would have to do is get rid of the committee, which the minister appears incapable or unable to do for whatever reason. It is bizarre. Maybe. And to be quite frank, this entire pageant has been so tarnished by this situation and the handling of this situation. I don't even see any young ladies wanting to participate that have any sense. Like the caliber, a lot of people argue, has diminished over the years anyway of what this pageant is attracting. And now, what do you think? Who do you think is going to sign up for this after this? I mean, these girls would have to be crazy to try to connect their name to something like this. Richard says, it broke my heart when Michelle lost her crown. She will always be Miss Cayman 1989 for me. Celeste wanted Trisha Whitaker to win from the get-go. Note, Michelle did go to Miss World. She only lost the Miss Universe title to Trisha. Oh, so let me ask you a question about that, Richard. Did somebody else then hold the Miss World title, like another franchise holder? So she went to that separately? I'm a little bit confused by that statement, but thanks for adding that. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Sandra, and I'm sorry to call back, but you're still looking blurred to me. And I did refresh, but you're still coming in blurred, but that's okay because it's just you. And then when you put the comments up, they look blurred, but the comments that other people, you know, are sending, you can read. I can read them clearly. I just wanted to add something because you know I saw a comment here, and yes, remember there are two different pageants. You have Miss World and you have Miss Universe. And there was a time until just recently, the same girl represented both. Now, people who are not involved in this wouldn't know this, but both pageants have different guidelines. Okay, so in other words, what would get a disqualification for one might not be for the other. But both girls went to the same girl went to both pageants. So while the girl may have been disqualified from one, she could have gone to the other. Also, remember the pageants.
Do you recall if Miss Celeste had both franchises at that time, or she only had Miss Universe?
Well, up until recently, the same person held both. But
Well, that was when government took it over.
No, let us back up. It for a very long time, Cayman only had the franchise to Miss World, not Miss Universe. That came later on. I can't remember what year. But then eventually, when our girl then started going to Miss Universe, whomever had the franchise had both. So there was never a time that you had two separate pageants until recently. I think it's Pamela Small who has the Miss World pageant. Now, whatever year she took that, that's when there was a separation. So, and the two pageants are held at separate times, although very close together. So in Michelle's case, because I cannot remember exactly when her disqualification came.
1990.
She could have, no, I mean, what month, what week?
Oh, okay.
She could have gotten disqualified after going for one, but in other words, not attending the other yet. She could have gotten disqualified in between. I don't remember the time frame, but that may be why, if she went to Miss World, that could be the reason why she got to go to Miss World and not to Miss Universe. Otherwise, she could have gotten disqualified when she returned from Miss World.
Okay.
Okay. But like I said, the committee, I'm going to repeat myself, the committee is the problem. The present committee is the problem. So if they clean that up, I think that the whole thing could, regain some respectability and what's that word? Help me out here. Oh gosh.
Credibility.
Credibility. That's not the word I was looking for. But okay. But there was another prestige. Prestige. It can regain that. This is not the first time that it has fallen and was able to be rebuilt. So it can be done. It can be done. And the committee, and I'm not speaking about just this present committee, but the committee members have a lot to do with how girls are attracted to this pageant. Okay? So everyone might want to bear that in mind.
Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Oh, okay.
All right. So somebody was asking about why did Michelle get disqualified? I don't actually know. I'm trying to confirm, but I think it may, what I've been told, again, and I need to confirm this, is it had something to do with a personal relationship. So she had some kind of personal relationship that apparently the franchise was not happy with. It may have crossed some moral codes or whatever. And that's why she was disqualified. But it certainly had nothing to do with anything else. I mean, she wasn't in court. She hadn't broken any, laws. She wasn't arrested. She hadn't assaulted anyone. She didn't have a history of any of that stuff. Jonathan says, I wouldn't want to be a girl in that competition now. Imagine having good chance losing to a man that looks like a girl. Miss Sue had a daughter who was in the pageant in 1998. And there have been a number of Caymanians who have won the pageant. And it's really opened up a lot of doors to them. But I don't know. I kind of feel like the caliber of what we're attracting now for the world of pageantry is certainly with that pageant has changed. And I don't know why that is. So Al says the laws based on morality are biased. They're judged depending on who's doing it. Yeah, and listen, that's why, we've had other Miss Caymans who've gotten warning because of like excessive bad behavior, drinking, making a public spectacle of themselves. They received warnings about that type of behavior, but none of them were ever decrowned for any of that stuff. I think the situation with Tiffany was very unique and very different in the sense that she had previous things on her court record, although they were not recorded. They were convictions. It just wasn't recorded. And normally they don't record it for the purposes of giving you second chances and so on. And she's had multiple chances now. And, but it doesn't take away from the seriousness of what she had done. And, assaulting police officers is normally considered a pretty serious misstep. Not once, not twice, but 3 times now. Richard says she went to Miss World, Miss Celeste Broderick, held both franchises. So let me understand what you're saying. Miss Celeste took Miss Universe from her, but not Miss World. That almost doesn't make any sense at all. That sounds kind of ridiculous. But there you go. The world of pageantry. Full of drama, honey chow. Anthony says, I think the pageant has gone to hell. To be honest, owner is a man who thinks that he's a woman. So the pageant is now held by a new owner. And not only that, but because I don't necessarily care who owns it per se, but remember now that this year, the pageant was not even available for people to watch. So I don't know if this new owner overextended himself financially, but he had a note for the first time, to the best of my recollection. It was not available on any sort of network, like proper network. You couldn't watch it on TV. What's the point of that? Like, who the hell was able to watch it here? I had people messaging me all day saying, is it on YouTube? Where is it? And I'm like, I'm the queen of streaming, but even me couldn't find it. Honey chill. So I don't know what to tell you. So that was weird. And if that's an indication of the direction that it's going, perhaps even for the exposure that we get, is probably not going to be worth it. How much do we pay for this franchise? Anybody knows? We've requested a copy of the contract. They told us no. It's FOI legal privilege. I don't think that that's the case because they can deduct certain bits and pieces of information. But I want to see what the terms of the contract are, because I do find it hard to believe that anybody, even in 1992, when the government, the Cayman Islands government, took the contract over, I find it very, very, very hard to believe that anybody would sign a contract that doesn't give you the power to be able to remove a sitting queen. What? Why would we do that? That just sounds nonsensical to me. We must go beg somebody else who doesn't know the intricate details of even what's going on here in the Cayman Islands to give us permission to dethrone a queen? Something not adding up in that storyline. And so I would like to see that clause in writing. And so I've asked for the contract. They said no. And I will appeal that decision by way of the ombudsman's office. I'm just saying. This is something that is so hard to believe that I need to see it with my own 4 eyes, because I'm just not convinced. Everybody in this situation has kicked the blame game, kicked the ball around. The committee members who sent that anonymous email, I think it's one person on the committee, was blaming the ministry blaming the franchise, the international franchise, or the international company, saying that they have no power as a franchise holder. It just doesn't make any sense. And if that's the contract that we have, definitely give up the franchise to somebody else. Government should have no business in the beauty queen business. Find other ways to try to help our young people, to educate them mostly. Because, a lot of these beauty queens now still can't read and write and can't get out there and get a decent job. I'm just saying. Okay, so, we were at least happy to hear that there was some sort of a decision that finally came out of all of this. And I guess we'll see what happens next. Ms. Brenda says something to think about when the first runner-up is being announced. Do you remember what is said publicly? I'm not quite sure. What do you mean? But what is said publicly? But anyway, folks, that's all I got for you today. At the end of the day, I think it's been a long, drawn out situation. It has been sad and unfortunate. And I think that, I hope that Tiffany is able to learn from this experience. There's so many takeaways and so many lessons in relation to this. Based on her social media presence and her non-acceptance even of her conviction and other things, I'm not quite sure that she's there. Not quite sure. I know for sure she isn't there. You've got to be humbled at some point, and she's not. In fact, this has only elevated her in her mind to think even more of herself, which is quite shocking and demonstrates a degree of delusionary behavior. It's unfortunate because the young lady has a lot of potential. She really, really does. She's talented artistically. She speaks well. She could get it all together. But I guess, you have to deal with those inner demons and, learn how to put them in their place. And not just for the sake of having good sound bites. She talked about how she was going to make this documentary about her relationship woes and her troubles and how she's gotten where she is. I don't think this is the time for you to make a documentary. I don't even think this is the time for you to be on social media. Somebody needs to counsel this young lady and say, young lady, come off of social media because it's all about the likes and the comments to fuel your ego. You need to just come off of it, leave all that stuff alone, do some deep therapy, some evaluation of your behavior, and try to figure out what drives you to do the things that you do. Because now we've had at least 3 or 4 different, very distinct situations where she's assaulted multiple people across the spectrum of her life, including her own mother and her own sister. And there's no boundaries there at all. So I pray that she gets the help that she needs and she will understand the importance of that and not the importance of, getting social media commentaries and likes. For the committee, lost one more member now. They're falling by the wayside. Miss Dawn McLean-Sawney has also resigned. Others have resigned. So this is the latest in a slew of resignations. Somebody else told me that even poor Kevin, who's been by Derry's side, is now saying that he's done with it. He can't take no more stress and so on. And it's just a hot mess. Derry is going to be the entire committee soon. Even Miss Judy has resigned. Miss Judy Powery, she's resigned. She's out of there. Who's left? Just Derry? And still the minister is incapable of doing anything about it. We've proven on Friday that Derry has lied about more than one thing through the handling of this situation. Why is she still the chairperson of the committee? Nobody's picking on Derry, believe me you. It's all about accountability at all levels. We can't teach our young people accountability if we ourselves are not willing to be accountable for our own behaviors. So Mr. Good Look says, will Minister Tourism come on your show for Q&A? We will send him this message by way of WhatsApp and extend the invitation. Looks like it's time for him to come on. Ms. Brenda said, one apple can't spoil the whole basket. I don't know, honey child. I think the basket needs to be thrown out. This is one example of where you might want to throw out the baby and the basket. Folks, that's all she wrote. We'll send him your message. Good look to see if he's interested in coming on the program. I'm sure everybody's so sick and tired of this topic by now. I am sick and tired of talking about it. Right? One more, she'll be sentenced in April. After that, we are done. We'll see if she gets jail time, if she gets community service. I don't know what the judge will do. What I can tell you is she's been doing herself zero favors with her ongoing behavior, especially on social media, and her ongoing attacks on the victims. It's not good, Tiffany. If I were you, I would disappear from social media. Lock off that Instagram account, shut it down. All those likes and comments will have no impact on the judge, on the magistrate. What will have an impact is the fact that you are doing things that the judge have said even since last week, Thursday, not to do. It shows your complete disrespect and disregard for your victims and the court, the entire judiciary. And the judge will hold that against you, I can assure you. Right? All the harassing messages, when that man does his victim impact statement, you are going to see the judge hear about all the other things that did not come out in the trial. Right? How you've made it your personal campaign to harass these people to like a crazy level. That was an offense too, but for whatever reason, the prosecution hasn't pursued you in that, because I guess they were pursuing the more serious things that you were doing to the family in hopes that that would stop you. You might want to really rethink some of the decisions that you're making. And finally, a word to all of her enablers. You know, you say that you love Tiffany, you care about Tiffany, you're supposed to be her friend. Friends encourage friends to get help. We all need help sometimes. Sometimes, you know, that comes by way of a good therapist, some medication. If you're bipolar, you suffer from anger disorders or whatever, you know, talk to professionals and see what treatment options are actually available to you. You don't ignore somebody's behavior. You don't refuse to press charges, mommy dearest, when she beats you up because she's your daughter. She will never learn appropriate boundaries, unfortunately. And you're only reinforcing that when you then tell the police officer, oh, you've come here at my bequest, right? I called 911, you showed up at my residence. And then after Tiffany kicks you in the nuts and does all this stuff to you, you then turn around and say, oh, but you're treating her too rough. Mommy, honey child, that's not how you will ever get your daughter to be held accountable for her behavior. And I hear that you've got another one following in Tiffany's footsteps. Lord Jesus, you must be under a lot of stress, mother dearest. You need some therapy too. You know, not too late to learn some skills on how to help raise those children. You didn't, you know, you kind of missed the boat earlier. I'm not really trying to call your parenting into question, but I'm just saying, if you have more than one child that is exhibiting this behavior out of 4 girls, that's like a 50-50 rating. Something might actually be wrong. It does not appear that Tiffany is an anomaly in the family. And so you might want to see where that genetic composition is coming out from. It's how it's actually impacting her life and the life of your other kids. Because I can only imagine the 2 that are on the straight and narrow path, how their lives have been negatively impacted by this. Ms. Brenda says, Sandra, she says, no, Sandra, we must not stop talking about issues that affect these islands. It takes public discussion to force their hands, and then we must continue. Be her friend, not her company. Yes, and I think that's a good advice, Ms. Brenda, because a real friend, those of you who really cared about Tiffany, would encourage her to get help. You wouldn't say, oh, it's time for this to disappear from the public view. We've talked about it enough. You'd be having a conversation with her and say, girl, your behavior requires professional intervention. But maybe all of y'all are afraid of her. Maybe y'all afraid she's gonna beat you up too. I don't really know. I don't know. I'm sometimes at a loss for what to think and what to say. But anyway, what I can say is thank you all so much for tuning into the program today. You guys are the best. Thank you for your ongoing support, and thank you for engaging in the conversation and having these really important discussions here in the community. Tomorrow is Wednesday. We do have some guests coming up, and it's also Reckoning Day for another gentleman who we will have an update on, probably again live from the courthouse. I don't think that he's going to have a choice hiding on the 3rd floor from us, or the 2nd floor, because he will be leaving in handcuffs. So when they bring him out, we'll make sure that we get his photo and so forth for all of you. And that is none other than Renato Harris, folks, who has been convicted of 2 sexual assaults, 2 rapes of a woman in his home, where he took advantage of her initial inebriated state. And then in the morning when she woke up, sober after a night of drinking, he held her down and raped her for a 2nd time. And then had the audacity to say to her, there, are you happy now? My God. Oh, honey child. Oh my God. I would have kicked his, you know what? Somebody raping you and then talking about, are you happy now? Lord Jesus. Unbelievable the things that I see in court on a regular basis, folks. It is crazy. Absolutely crazy. I couldn't make this stuff up if I tried. This is worse than any movie script. Anyway, he'll have his day of sentencing tomorrow. Praise the Lord for that. And he should be going to jail, I hope, for at least 15 years. And then when he comes out of jail, let's strip him of whatever residency he has and deport him right back to Kingston, Jamaica. Tell him to go over there and try and rape some woman over there because they're more likely to chop him up. Anyway, y'all have a beautiful day. Here's your daily news buzz. Thanks. Big shout out to Kevin Watler.
Hello, I'm Kevin Watler, and this is your CMR Daily Buzz. Here's a summary of some of Cayman's latest headlines. While many in the Cayman Islands have objected to plans to build a new cruise ship berthing facility due to environmental concerns, the country will now have to consider development plans for its cargo port facility. Minister of Tourism and Transport, the Honorable Kenneth Bryan, said the government is now taking a proactive approach to address the capacity issue at the cargo port, an issue which must be addressed for the country's food security. Cayman Airways is set to resume its service to Panama this summer, starting June 26th with flights twice weekly. CEO of Cayman Airways, Fabian Worms, explained that the twice-weekly flights will be on Mondays and Thursdays. Tiffany Conley has been dethroned as Miss Cayman Islands Universe 2022, making her the first to ever face such a fate since the government has held the franchise. The entire ordeal has led the government to contemplate relinquishing the franchise to a private organization. Now for your CMR weather update. It's brought to you by WG Charters. Sunrise at 6:54. Sunshine and clouds will be mixed when the temperature's at 81 degrees Fahrenheit and the humidity at 70% like the forecast calls for. It will feel like it's in the low 80s. Winds east at 10 to 20 miles per hour and the sun sets at 6:25. At nighttime, the temperature falls to the mid-70s. Looking forward, a higher rain chance on Wednesday, but overall, similar weather conditions are expected. If you would like to know more on any of these stories, visit CaymanMallRoad.com or follow Cayman Mall Road on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. That's it for now on A Daily Buzz. Thank you for joining me. Please stay safe, and God bless.